negative view to take on like half of the human race.
Well, I also think it's just so abundantly clear that the people who say these things don't actually spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men. I love frat guys, and in that I realized like even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who supported Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it.
Can you believe that the Dems spent 20? Did you just now start watching my screen share?
Yes.
So you missed the whole ass cold open.
Yes.
I don't have words. Anyway, can you believe that, I guess I'll just play it again. Can you believe that the Democrats are going to spend $20 million to try to win back young men in this country, in America, and this is the best thing they could come up with?
Who? Is that a tranny?
No, I think it's an actual woman. I just think she's very ugly.
Looks like a dude.
She doesn't have tranny voice. So I assume she's an actual girl.
Negative view to take on like half of the human race.
Well, I also think it's just so abundantly clear that the people who say these things
pause it here for a second.
Actually,
yep. I apologize to any of the viewers who already watched this, but Liar is fucked up.
Retarded.
Yes.
Keep in mind, I have been drinking since like 9 a.m. Sporadically, but I have been drinking since 9 a.m.
No, not you. Surely not.
Surely not. Okay, so yeah, the photo makes her look a lot less flat. Like, okay, there's not much to flatter.
Yes.
Right? But the photo makes her look a lot less flattering than she is in the stream camera.
Yeah.
Number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, it's typical like Latina voice, right?
Yeah.
Sort of light thing. But then you can hear the breathlessness whenever she starts talking.
Yeah.
It's like you can feel the pounds on her.
Like 13 said, so gross. Yeah, I know.
Just 22-year-old queer plus side disabled Latina. Like seriously, dude. Like these people.
They genuinely think that she's gonna win back the hearts and minds of young men and get them back on the Democrat side.
I do not understand. Right? like what the obsession is with this with this what's it called?
What, like the box checking, making sure that she's queer
Yeah.
and plus size and disabled and not
Yeah, like
white.
listing all of that as if that like overrides any need for them to actually be to actually do anything with their lives, basically.
Yeah. Well, that's because identity
Know what
is
I mean?
all that matters. Like-
it's just, to me, it's just so fucking retarded. Like,
Well, Andrew Wilson, while he was in a debate with somebody, he said this thing that at the time I initially kind of disagreed with because I thought he was just kind of trying to be. He was like debate brained at the time. I thought he was just because he was saying.
so he was actively being a cunt, or at least you thought so.
I thought
Yeah.
he was because he was saying that like, well, all politics is identity politics. He was debating somebody about what the woke right was, and there's this guy Misfit Patriot, and Misfit Patriot buys into the idea of the woke right, which is bullshit. But and he was saying, it was white identitarians who basically take the same tactics that the left used for the last decade is now trying to apply it to right-wing causes, which is, if you're going to call something woke right, it's probably the best way to describe it. But Andrew Wilson was saying that like all politics is identity politics, and at first I was like, well, no, not necessarily. But now I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I suppose to a degree, sure. But it's not, doesn't have to be the forefront of your politics. Like, but this is what we're talking about here. This is the kind of like identity politics bullshit where it's like, I have to make sure that you know every aspect of who I am, so you know my entire political lens. When it's just like, no, I'm right wing, I'm Christian, whatever.
Yeah, this was a debate I had. Well, not a debate, but like this was a discussion I had with on Christ. At this point in time, we're talking on Ventrilo, because this was that long ago. This was back in like 2014. Actually, was it Ventrilo? No, it was Mumble. It was Mumble.
Oh wow!
It wasn't Mumble. If you actually remember what Mumble is, right? Like, to all the old fags out there, it was on Mumble.
I remember Mumble.
Yep. So this was the discussion I had with a select group of friends. The right and the left can basically be described, at least at that point in time, as 4chan versus Reddit.
Yes.
It quite literally could, because at the very end of it, when you boil it down to the absolute bare bones, 4chan, the only information you can glean from any one random poster is which country they're from.
Yeah.
Like, literally nothing else. You don't know their identity unless they willingly dox themselves. Yeah. You don't know jack shit about them, right? Like, either the thread, either Op is a retard or a fag, or he isn't. That's the entire the entirety of the discussion centers around the actual opinion.
Yeah, of course.
On Reddit, there's precedence, you're now, I don't know whether this is actually how it works because I've never been on Reddit, right? But there's a reputation system. There's a karma system. They're your posts take precedence depending on how much karma you have, or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
Like, everything revolves around how many boxes that how many boxes you tick off that has been for lack of a better word, consecrated by the Reddit mods.
Yeah, and that's you kind of hit the nail on the head. That is how Reddit works.
Is it?
Yeah, pretty much. The more visible you are, the more you let your identity out on Reddit, the more engagement you'll get, because you go in there and you'll see all these. It's all identity shit. It's all blacks for this, or queers for this, or there's this movie that came out in 2015 called The Witch. Pretty good movie. I really liked it. It's a psychological horror film about a Puritan family in the 1600s living in colonial America.
This one young girl that we both, well, not young girl, but young lady that we're mutually friends with, made me watch that shit.
Yeah.
Right. I did not like it at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it because the devil won at the end, or is it just because you didn't think the movie was good?
Kind of like a mixture of factors.
Because I really liked it. I really liked it.
The one character I liked in that movie was the younger brother, who like what is very strongly implied to have been like, you know, raped by the devil in disguise, basically, and he died.
Yeah,
like, clinging to his faith.
Yep. He
Yeah,
also
like
he's also harboring incestuous feelings towards his sister. So like.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But that was like the one character I kind of liked, because at the end of the day, he didn't move on it, I guess.
Yeah, no, he literally died confessing love for Jesus, and then spit out he spit out a whole apple, confessed his love for Jesus, and then died peacefully. Like, spoiler alert, by the way. But like, so.
But yeah, I did. I watched. I had to watch that movie because this mutual young lady friend of ours basically forced me to watch this movie because she's an art student, or was, like she graduated now, but like apparently like her peers were all going gaga over this particular movie studio called A24.
Yeah, it was an A24 film.
Yeah, which is like all the stuff that I've seen from them is just a bunch of fucking pretentious hippy dippy bullshit. Like, I think their most famous project is Midsummer.
Yeah. I'm familiar
and it's just
with
like,
that film.
Wow, that is also a gay ass film.
God, you're kind of like blowing my mind right now because sure, a lot of the A24 stuff is dog shit, but I really like The Witch. I thought The Witch was really good. Like, I thought like the black goat and everything, and how the black goat was like Satan the whole time, and like
yeah, and like it was influencing the twins. Like, instead of just the twins being kids and just making up imaginary friends, like they were actually not kidding.
They were talking to the devil, and like and then
and they were actively like poisoning the family basically.
I'm a big fan of this black metal band called Cradle of Filth, and a couple months ago they released a new single called "To Live Deliciously." So I got to look at it up because I wondered if that line was like kind of like a reference to something, maybe like old literature or something like that. And it's not. It was something that the writer wrote for the script. Whenever the devil takes human form, and he asks Thomasin which is the main character's name. He asked Thomasin if she would like to live deliciously, and I'm just like, is that a ref? It's not. It's not a reference to anything. But anyway, Danny Filth, the singer, vocalist, let's call him. Singer is kind of stretching the term singing. The vocalist of Cradle of Filth, he wrote these lyrics for the song called "To Live Deliciously," and it was just like, is he referencing The Witch? And I ended up on a Reddit thread called "Witches Against Patriarchy." Oh my god, and it was so fucking cringe. It was the witches in this movie, this coven of witches, tormented this family, murdered these children, literally kill a baby so that they can make a flying ointment so they can fly in the sky at night. And like, these witches are all like,
for no other reason, like literally no other reason.
No, just for their own carnal pleasure. Yeah.
They just fly because like it doesn't give them anything else. Like, they can't even really, like, from the way that I saw it, they can't even really like control how they fly. They just sort of float. Yeah,
like at the end of the movie, whenever Thomasin is taken by Black Phillip into the woods, into the and all the witches are just kind of floating around the bonfire. But yeah, no, like they're all saying, like, they were all just like siding with Thomasin and saying she did the right thing. I was like, okay, well, she was kind of forced into it by the devil. She didn't really make a choice. Like, Satan kind of just like put her in these horrible fucking situations, and by the end of it, her entire family was dead, and she didn't really have a choice. But like, they're all saying it's like, no, being a witch isn't about the devil. Like, they're saying like the worst part of the movie was Black Phillip because it makes the devil, or because it makes all witches seem like they consort with the devil. I'm like, isn't
that literally the point? Like, what?
But yeah, the point is, like I said, witches against patriarchy. There's another identity. All these women who identify as witches, and magicians, and they, But anyway, out of the weeds, like, I don't completely disagree with what she says here. Not completely. I'll get into it. But
spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses. And I
He
spend a lot of time with
loves young
him.
men.
I love young men. I love frat guys. And in that, I
I
realized,
assure you,
like,
lady, frat guys
even
do
the
not
ones
love
that
you.
identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who supported Black Lives Matter. It's so
Okay, so a couple of things there. I don't necessarily disagree that when she's talking to college-age Zoomers, that even the conservative ones are probably, she's probably stretching. They're probably
supposedly conservative ones.
well, no, but let's
Supposedly
go
conservative
ahead and say that she's talking to these guys they identify as conservative. Like I said, she's probably stretching what she means when they say they're pro-choice. They're
ones. I'm sure that's probably the only kind of stretching she's fucking
yeah,
aware
of course. But like I'm sure these guys probably are not like pro-choice the same way the left is up to the day of fucking birth. No, they're probably like I'm okay with heartbeat pills.
Default. No, they probably default quote unquote pro-choice. Like they don't necessarily understand what 24 weeks means being in the womb, right?
Yeah,
Like,
well, I'm giving them
yeah.
the benefit of the doubt, assuming that they're probably at my position, which is heartbeat bills or possibly first trimester before frontal lobe, brain act before.
I don't think anyone who's actually looked into it to that extent. No,
Well,
I don't think so. Like, I mean, you're a bit of a strange animal in that sense. That yeah, because keep in mind you are a lot older than these people, so you actually give more of a shit.
yeah, sure, but what I'm saying is that I'm
Right.
saying they probably identify as pro-choice to a degree. They're probably like, okay, we're not going to take it completely off the table, or whatever. Like, but but then
Yeah.
whenever
Anyway,
but
yeah.
if you
Yep.
tried to put them down on a position and then you ask them is like, okay, what about second and third trimester abortions? They'd probably say, fuck no, you're killing a baby at that point.
Yeah.
Same.
Okay. Like. So it's as I said, default. Like most people, like let's say where most people in Australia are, where it's like, okay, the law is here, but that's it.
And she says they're pro-gay marriage. Again, a lot of these guys probably don't think about it too deeply, but they're probably
Yeah, they
only
probably just go, yeah, like I don't care, like but then they don't realize like the further implications of it, as in with like gay adoption and all this
yes, they're probably
other shit.
these
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, they haven't like looked too deep into it. So when they say they're pro-gay marriage, they probably are like less pro-gay marriage and like more just like live and let live. Like who cares? I don't give a shit. My cousin's gay, my brother's gay, my best friend from high school's gay. Whatever. Like they at this point in 2025, all these college age kids, they all know and are probably deeply related to either through friendship or familial ties related to someone who's gay. So they don't have this like automatic revulsion to the idea of like gay relationships. That's probably true, but again, if we're assuming that these kids are self-identifying as conservative, and polling shows that Zoomer males are trending way more into conservatism than millennials did, then like I think she's kind of lying more or less. Like not, yeah, I do think she's lying. I think she's lying about how liberal that these conservative Zoomers are. They are definitely more liberal than say you or I on certain topics, sure, because they're Zoomers and it's just the kind of like the Overton window shifting leftward over time. But I think they're probably more conservative than she lets on. I mean, she literally says that you'd be surprised how many conservative Zoomers supported Black Lives Matter. That's the part I think is outright bullshit. I think if you go on a college campus and you meet like a 22-year-old, 21, 22-year-old conservative Zoomer who voted for Trump, they're not going to say anything positive about BLM.
especially if they're like any other race than black, actually.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
Right, like you add that on as like as a further modifier. Like, dude, you're not, especially with the levels of like the recent, this moniker that they've come up with black fatigue. Like that is most prominent amongst, like, especially white and Hispanic Zoomers.
yeah, and it's getting into like people our age. It's getting into millennials. It's getting into like to the point where it's just all like, oh, for fuck's sake, stop it! Like, stop.
Yeah, you know what? We need a Scott Adams was right tip jar in addition to the Alex Jones was right tip jar.
Get the hell away from black people because you can't fix
There's
this.
no fixing this. There's no fixing this. Okay. No, but seriously though, like on that note, like, is it as I said, like, is it wrong? Is it wrong?
No, not completely.
Right?
I mean, considering everything that's happened over the last 10 years, no, it's not completely like it's obvious why black fatigue is a thing.
Mm.
It's incredibly
Yeah.
obvious because just to put it in the simplest terms, there's too many fucking Ibram Kendis and not enough Thomas Souls.
Too many Ibram X Kendi and Tariq Nasheeds, and not enough Clarence Thomases or Thomas Sowells.
Yeah.
Right, like, yeah.
Yep. The ideal Supreme Court is
sad.
10. The ideal Supreme Court is 9 black men. Like.
Yep. Yeah, like, it also comes down to that meme of, oh, I'm not racist. Her friend group, literally her carbon copied fucking 30 times.
Yeah, his friend group.
And then the dude is like, I am racist. Is like fucking literally the whole globe.
Yeah, I am racist. It's just it's a white guy, a Japanese guy, fucking an Arab guy, a Pakistani guy,
Mexican,
a fucking maybe even a black dude is in there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally, the server that we usually hang out in, right? Like,
yeah,
it's
a black guy. Hell, we even have our own black guy. We have a black guy.
Yeah, I know, exactly. That's what I mean.
He's German, and it's great.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally that fucking meme. It's literally the server that we're. It's fucking retarded, but yeah, that's literally us, bro. For real.
All of us.
Let me just go and shoot myself for fucking saying that. But anyway,
you see that meme. Another meme I saw is like her friend group, and it's all the girls are within a year or two of each other. It's like his friend group, and it's like 17, 12. 47.
Yeah, the youngest is like 12, and then the oldest is like in his 50s.
Yeah, 40.
Like, oh,
yeah, 47.
Wait.
It's just like. Well, that's our server because it's like I'm fucking one of the oldest ones there. I'm 38. It's just like you're like 33. Fucking like Pika's 30. Yep. A couple of them are in their 20s. Like it's just we just run the gamut. We're all different races. Hell, we're all different religions.
Mm-hmm.
For all the shit we talk about Muslims, we have some base Muslims in the server. So like,
yep. But yeah. Anyway, but yeah, like this is all I wanted to say about this chick is that she's fucking lying, and like the fact that they're going after they're tapping her, disgusting fucking visual, just after Hassan, that fluff piece on Hassan that the New York Times did.
Yeah.
It's just like, dude. Okay, well, keep going down this road because, like, I would want nothing more than you doing this shit because you're just gonna lose even more of the people you're trying to appeal.
Like, yeah, that fluff piece talks about how young men listen to Hassan Piker. I'm like, I would love to see like a sample of the young men who listen to Hassan Piker on the regular, and I guarantee they're all twinky little queers, like all of them. And
or the people who listen to Hassan Piker are like, they're listening to him for the irony.
I can't
they're
even
listening
bring myself
to him
do
to
that.
make fun of him.
Yeah, I mean that's possible. I have a hard time hate watching. Like I have a really hard time.
Oh, same.
It makes me way too angry.
No, same. I like remember when we did that episode on that fucking Turk reacting to the Queen's death.
Ah, yes. Yep.
Oh, dude, just seriously.
Luckily, that was just like one story. We didn't spend as much time on it as like whenever we did like a whole hour, like in the early that we're talking about within the first 10 episodes of the podcast, where we spent like a whole hour talking shit about Sitch and Adam. Like, and we listened to them, like you and me and fucking and Rat. We sat there and like went through like an hour of their. It was when Russia-Ukraine first popped off, and yeah, it was bad.
Yep.
And Adam was being a cunt to Aiden Paladin and trying to make her cry like live on stream, and it was just like, ugh, I hate these two so much. Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter what your political thing is; it's like actively trying to make a woman cry on stream. It's just like, come on, dude.
Yeah, especially one like Aiden, and the thing who like Aiden Paladin will cry if you look at her funny. Like it's like like
no, it's not even just that. Like it's these people claim to be her friends, bro.
Yeah.
Right? Like, guys, what the fuck?
It's like, yeah, it's like, it's to her credit, she held it together. She didn't cry, but Adam was trying. But yeah, I'm not a fan of them. But anyway, like I was saying, the Dems are apparently going to spend $20 million on trying to re-win over young men, and that woman is the best they can do. Like, fuck off. Listen, Democrats, give me $20 million. Well, obviously they're not going to give you the whole $20 million, but listen, Democrats, pay me, all right? And I will win over young men for your cause. By win over young men for your cause, what I actually mean is subvert you and take your money. But the point is that you can do better.
Can they though?
I mean,
can they really?
Like,
I
no,
don't
because
think so.
I'm trying to think of like males who could appeal to young men on the Democrat side, and I can't think of any. Like Hassan sucks. Kyle Kalinske sucks. Nobody takes Jake Uyghur seriously.
Kyle Kalinske. Fucking Kyle Kalinske. Oh my god. Kyle
David
Kalinske.
Pakman, John Adadarola, like none of these guys will appeal to young men because they're all such soy boy cucked out fagoids. Like it's not. There's nothing appeal like when you like men are looking for other like when young men are looking for someone to like look up to. I don't.
They
want
want almost essentially a father figure, essentially.
Well, yeah, sure, exactly.
Like, for lack of a better term, like it really is just they're looking for someone who could be who they could almost idealize as a father figure. None of these people are fathers, except maybe Cenk.
Yeah, I think Cenk
right?
has kids. Yeah, no, and David Pakman has kids too. But yeah, no, dude,
oh
your
my
point.
God, I feel sorry for that.
But your
man's
point,
kids.
your
Like,
point
seriously.
stands. Kalinske doesn't have kids. Hassan doesn't have kids. Whatever.
And Hassan's older than us, isn't he?
Destiny has kids, but he has no. He has nothing to do with him. I talked to him.
Hassan's older than us too, isn't he?
No, he's not. Hassan is younger than me. I don't know if he's. I think he might be the same age as you. I think he's in his early 30s.
All right, let me check. Hassan Piker.
Hassan is definitely younger than me.
Oh, he's younger than me.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I figured he
by a couple months. Yeah,
if he was,
months.
if he wasn't exactly the same age as you, like born the same year, he was only like a year or two younger. I knew he was in his 30s.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like Destiny has a child, but again, first of all, Destiny is
part of the reason why I hate Destiny so much is because of his relationship with his kid. Actually,
he talks to him on. Hey, listen, he talks to Nathan on Discord occasionally. That's how you be a good dad. But 6 months after a stinging nationwide rejection that handed Donald Trump a commanding re-election and fractured the core coalition, the Democrat Party is turning to a new solution, spending $20 million to figure out why young men don't like them. You don't have to spend $20 million. I can just tell you why young men don't like you. Because the left broadly and many prominent Democrats specifically spent literally their entire lives. We're talking about just Zoomers, pretty much their entire lives since they've been old enough to like recognize what's going on in the world, telling them that every problem in the world is their fault. And they're
literally the poison of the earth.
Yeah. That's why they don't like
and also, the entire Democratic Party, bar none, like not a single one of them. All of them, bar none, are woke Karens.
Yeah.
Even the males.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Quote unquote males. All of them are woke Karens. That's it. And I don't use the word Karen that much because I think incel, Karen, all that shit is just like retarded. However, it definitely applies. Like the only thing these people know how to do is fucking complain.
For sure. The project, codenamed SAM, short for Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan. What? That's what they're calling their plan to win back young men. SAM.
What's the project called?
Speaking with American Men.
What? How is that?
So like I get why they call it SAM. Because with would just be I can't remember the term in like English class of what you would call the term with.
Yeah, it's a grammatical thing. Yeah, but still though, like
the main points of the name is speaking American and men. So that's the parts you actually abbreviate.
No, but that's dumb. It's counterintuitive.
I mean, like the only time you abbreviate things like that is if like with Doge. Normally you would call it like let's say that like the Doge meme wasn't a thing. You would end up calling the Department of Government Efficiency the DGE. but because Doge is a meme and Elon really leaned into that, you add the "of" abbreviation into it, so you can call the department Doge because it's funny.
I know, but still.
Anyway,
but still.
the
I want to
project.
nitpick, so fuck you.
The project, codenamed Sam, is described as a prospectus obtained by the New York Times. It outlines a massive push to decode the language and culture of disaffected young men, particularly in online spaces, and includes a proposal to buy ads inside video games. That's not going to work.
Buy ads inside video, bro.
Okay. Dude, Zoomers don't even watch ads on YouTube. Like they all have ad blockers.
Buy ads in video games.
Also,
there is no way.
The only way you're buying ads in video games is you're buying ads in freemium video games, and Zoomers aren't playing freemium games. Well, they are, but only freemium games that like don't have ads in them. Like they're playing like Genshin and fucking like ZZZ. These games don't have ads in them.
No, but like, dude, what is the most surefire way for you to to get people to hate you? Is to put fucking ads in their games. Oh my god, like this is bro, just keep going. Like, dude, I'm all for this. Because if this is the way they're tracking, holy shit. They're fucked. They're honestly fucked.
Quote, above all, we must shift from a moralizing tone, the document urges. At least they recognize that the way they moralized for the last, like I said, 10 years, the entire like teenage and adult lives of most of these young men, they've been moralizing to them and telling them, as you said, that they are the poison of the earth. And I mean, white men get it the worst, but they also just talk about men in general. Like, imagine you're just like a regular black kid, you come from, maybe you still come from a poor neighborhood, but you never joined the gang. You're not out doing like, you're not out doing black shit. You're just like going to school and you just play video games and you watch anime and whatever. And then you still get told that you're the fucking problem, not just because you're black, but also because you're a male and, all that, like you get blamed for everything. Like, imagine, I don't like Myron Gaines, but imagine like taking this fat this fat Latino chick and trying to use her to win over young black men, and she has to compete with Myron Gaines. It's not going to work.
There's a reason why Islam is so popular in the black community. Like, going back.
I wasn't even considering that, but yeah, there you go. That's kind of another factor you got to factor in there. But like, well, I'm just saying, like, let's take the Muslim thing out of it. Let's just like Myron Gaines, this fat Latina chick. Who do you think young black men are going to be more appealed? Like,
it's not even a fucking question, dude.
Yeah,
that isn't even a question.
First of all, he's a male like them, so that's automatically where you're going to kind of like gravitate towards that. He's black, so the black males are going to more gravitate towards him. And as much as I don't like him personally, he has a lot of base takes, and base takes are really popular with young men.
Let's be honest, he is kind of cool. Like, he was what was he? Like some kind of like cop.
Oh, he was a DHS. He was a DHS agent.
Yeah, there you go.
And he's a fitness guy. He's super jacked. And then, like, if you ever watch Fresh and Fit, like, they get chicks on there, and he tells them that they're stupid whores, and they are. Like, I'm not like anti-red pill or any of that shit.
Stupid bitch.
That's stupid bitch. Yeah, Brian. I much prefer Brian. See, because like, here's the thing. I've like, if Freedom Toons had ever made a cartoon making fun of Fresh and Fit and Myron Gaines, I don't think Fresh would have Myron would have a few days after that Freedom Toon went live, Brian Atlas tweeted it out and said it was fucking hilarious. I don't think Myron would have done that. I think Myron would.
Yeah, because his ego is his poor Islamic ego is probably going to be hurt too much.
Yeah, I don't think he would have been. He doesn't handle criticism
as generous.
Well. Yeah, he doesn't handle criticism well. And in fact, now don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that Brian actually tried to get Sheamus to come on whatever, and Sheamus was like, "Nah, bro, I'm good." But like, he wanted Sheamus to come on, like, and not to debate him or read him the right act. Just come on, come get on the show. You can sit in the chair next to me where all the male guests usually sit, and we'll just talk to these chicks. And I think
but Sheamus is Sheamus is too much of a I guess, like for lack of a better thing to call him again, as usual. He's too much of a Catholic.
Yeah, I was just thinking he's too Catholic for that. But like Michael Knowles did
but
it.
Then Michael Knowles has been on there, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Knowles has been on there twice. Well, I think he did one panel show and he did one debate. I don't think he's been on the panel show multiple times, but yeah.
Yeah. But the point still stands, right? Like I get it.
The effort comes amid widespread Democratic soul-searching after a loss that wasn't just electoral but cultural. A recent NBC News poll placed the party's favorability at just 27%. Its worst showing in the polls in 34 years.
Ouch.
Focus groups show the branding problem is dire. One Georgia man recently summed it up succinctly. Quote, a deer in headlights. According to messaging, deer in headlights, because they saw the Trump train coming, and they just stood on the tracks and thought, stand strong, plant yourself like a tree, and say, no, you move, thinking that they're actually Captain America. Like, no, and then the Trump train just ran them over. Look, like, the Democrats, after Trump got shot, like, they shouldn't have just given up.
No, it's not even after Trump got shot.
Why?
It wasn't even after Trump got shot. Like, I think it started after Trump got the mugshot. Like, we weren't under any illusions, right? Like, it was going to be like a landslide or whatever. But we felt like, come on, admit it, that we felt a twinge of hope.
Yeah, we were confident that we would pull it off. Yeah,
we felt a twinge of hope in our hearts that, when you had black neighborhoods in Fulton County, screaming, that's my nigga Trump, basically, like while his motorcade went past. Yeah, free my nigga Trump. Yeah, it's like, dude, there's something special going on here. And I'm not sure where it's going, but it's going somewhere, like it's
Well, yeah. When I bring up the him getting shot thing, like that was like the nail in the coffin. They should have known that they were cooked at that point, but they still arrogantly thought that they could pull this off. They really thought Kamala Harris was the one to do it. Like okay, Biden had cancer and dementia, so they definitely had to get him out of there. They knew he had cancer too, so fine.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like we talked about this in the previous episode, right?
Kamala, I get it. She's the she's the VP, so she was like the next in line. But like she would not have won her own primary.
But I think that's because they kind of painted themselves into a corner, too. That's the thing. Because like the entire reason why she was chosen was because quite literally she was a fucking DEI hire.
Bernie would have done better.
No, Bernie but still would have lost. What I mean?
No, I know. I understand. Yes, I agree. But like, I'm just saying, like, Bernie still would have lost after Trump got shot. No Democrat was going to beat him in this. I really don't believe that, unless they cheated, which they knew they weren't going to be able to pull off a cheat like they did in 2022.
I mean, they tried. They were fucking seeding the concept, like with the whole, Corona is rearing its ugly head again, fucking, Yeah,
right? No, they tried. But
have you seen those headlines? Like they tried, and just no one fucking took them serious.
But it was too big, too rig, too big. Too rig.
No, and I genuinely disagree with you that Bernie would have done better.
I think Bernie would have. I think Bernie I think Bernie would have done better. I still think Bernie would have lost. I still think Trump would have won all. Probably would Bernie might have won like one of the swing states, maybe. But I think Bernie is demonstrably more popular than Kamala. That's the only reason why I think he would have done better.
I agree. I agree that he's more popular than Kamala, but I think they would have pissed off the genuinely identitarian side of the Democrat Party.
Oh yeah,
if they picked Bernie. That's why I don't think he would have done better. Like they would have lost that entire voting block.
They could have played well. I was about to say no, they're damned either way because they could have done the DEI hire. They could have played up the Jew thing, but like he's a religious, so he can't even really like try to claim he's devoutly.
No, and if they tried to claim the Jew thing, like fucking Israel, Gaza.
Yeah, then that's the other thing is that he can't really. It would be a bad look for the Democrats, even though the Democrat Party nominally is pro-Israel. They're the anti-Israel section of their party is way bigger than the anti-Israel section of the Republicans. The anti-Israel
they've already
section
kind of lost that. Like the anti-Israel section of the Democrat Party, like arguably might have actually voted for Trump.
Which is odd because Trump has always been very pro-Israel.
Yeah, but like I think how like they were saying that like the Muslim parts of I think was it Minnesota, like actually, like that might have actually swung that state for him.
I mean, yeah, it's possible.
Like, have you seen those numbers? Like, it's just
Yeah.
it's fucking insane how that's even a fucking possibility. But like, it just just is.
I mean, it probably did help the a lot of the politically engaged Muslims whenever they found out that Jared Kushner wasn't going to have a role in this administration. They're all like, "Oh, okay, well, finally."
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm one of those people who firmly believes that like Jared Kushner, like this, like you still hear people who go like, "Man, he basically let Jared Kushner run the White House." Shut the fuck up! No, he didn't.
Yeah,
Jared
Yeah,
Kushner
no.
spent all of his time as a part of the Trump administration doing foreign policy shit and working on the Abraham Accords. That was all he did.
Mhm.
Like, that was it. You honestly think that
Yeah,
he's
but
going to
you'll
let
never-
his daughter's Twinkie Jew husband push him around and tell him what to do? No fucking way.
Yeah, no. Trump has too much of an ego to fucking let that happen.
No, of course not.
Gonna come out and say it, like 100%. No way. No way in hell.
And I said Twinkie. I don't know if Jared Kushner is a twink. I don't know how tall the guy is. He doesn't look like.
Well, he kind of looks like a twink.
He does. He looks like
Like
he
from
doesn't
the-
seem like he's that tall. That's all I'm saying.
No, it doesn't seem like he's that tall. It doesn't seem like he's that built as well. Like, I mean, Barron is lanky, but he's got.
Yeah,
He's
dude's like 6'6". He's massive.
He's 6'7".
Yeah, he's big. He's
yeah.
a tall
He's,
kid.
yeah, but he's not just wiry. No, he is wiry. He's not just lanky.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the kid's got fucking meat in him. So.
Yes. That's gonna be
Yeah.
you want to. That's who's gonna win over young men. It's gonna be Barron Trump. When Barron Trump
future
decides,
God Emperor Barron.
when Barron decides to actually get politically active, he's gonna. I'm telling you, young men are gonna flock to him. He's already a meme, So
Yeah.
and what do kids love more than memes? Almost nothing.
Like a
Everything is
meme, a meme that lives up to the meme.
Yes.
It's. Yep. So.
According to messaging consultant Anat Shenkar Osario, Democrats are consistently described in her
What the
focus group.
fuck kind of name is that? What?
It's a woman.
Where?
Too, so I don't know. Anat Shenkar.
Not Shankar Osorio. Dude, that is the most Jew fucking Mexican name I've ever seen in my life.
Or that's Anat Shenker sounds like. I mean, it could be Jew, but I don't know. Anat Shenker
sounds-
could also be subcontinental. Like,
No, Schenker? Schenker is like a German name.
well, it's Shenker. It could be German, but like,
yeah.
but like that also.
Anat sounds Northern European to me.
I have no idea, but Democrats are consistently described in her focus groups as sloths, tortoises, and now apparently roadkill. Quote, "You stand there and you see the car coming," the man explained, "but you're going to stand there and get hit with it anyway." Democrat leaders are scrambling to resemble a coalition that used to be rock solid. Young voters, working class Americans, Latinos, and black voters all shifted towards Trump in 2024. And this time he won the popular vote too. Quote, there is fear, there is anxiety, and there is a very real question about the path forward, all of which I share, said Rep. Jason Crow, Democrat of Colorado, who is charged with recruiting candidates to help win back the House in 2026. We are losing support in vast swaths of the country. Even the long-standing gender gap, which typically favored Democrats, flipped in key districts as men swung harder to the right. It's one of the driving reasons behind the 20 Million Sam initiative. Meanwhile, the party's facing open rebellion from within. Progressive activists are outraged at what they see as a lack of fight. Moderate Democrats are openly warning that cultural messaging on issues like immigration, gender, and economic elitism are alienating the very voters the party once claimed as its base. Well, I mean, Joe Manchin was like the last moderate Democrat, and even he got drummed out. So you basically have nobody left.
And he wasn't even that moderate, really.
No, but he did. He played himself off as that, like, I'm the conservative
Yeah, he did.
boomer
he did, but
Democrat.
he's not,
I vote
wasn't
with
even
Republicans pretty often. And he, to be fair, he did. He did vote with Republicans a lot.
Yeah, I get it, but he wasn't. He was not. Like, my only point is that he wasn't that.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't that fucking moderate.
No, he wasn't. Quote, we've pushed in so many ways these people run away from our party, Crow said. Former DNC chair Jamie Harrison, who stepped down in February, admitted the party has found ways to compete in states where it's not. Or the party has to find ways to compete in states where it's not. Well, the thing about it is that there are certain states that Democrats are never going to win in.
Again.
Yeah, Democrats are. Yeah, well, I mean, I was talking about like Democrat, like at least federally, like Democrats are never going to win in Kentucky. Why we always end up electing Democrats for
Democrat governors
and
is a question I will never fucking understand.
It's because of Lexington and Louisville, and like Bowling Green are big major cities. Which are, well, for a long time, apparently in recent years, Louisville has swung more blue. But 6-7 years ago, Louisville was a red city. The majority of the city council were Republicans. The mayor was Republican. The majority of people living there were registered as Republicans. It still was a major American city, so it still had a lot of like blue leanings. But like it was a red city compared to the very blue Lexington. But now it seems that like Louisville has become more and more Democrat as time has gone on. But yeah, Kentucky always goes red when it comes. We always send Republicans to the Senate and to Congress, and then any time like the state always ends up voting for the Republican candidate for president. So there's a lot of people here.
Well, that's still something that needs to be changed, I think. But anyway, that's a different topic altogether.
There's a lot of people who think that, especially after COVID, that our current governor, Andy Beshear, is rigging the votes in order to stay in, because he was getting sued left, right, and center during COVID. Like everyone was suing him. All the churches were suing him. Like everybody was suing him because of all the COVID shit he tried to do, and none of it ended up sticking. He ended up backpedaling on a lot of it, and he's he's still the governor. So I don't even know when the next gubernatorial election is for Lexington or for Kentucky. I need to look into that.
Probably in 26.
Yeah, probably. Well, Daniel Cameron ran for governor and he lost, but he's heavily connected to. He was kind of an apprentice to Mitch McConnell, and Mitch McConnell is not super popular. He only ever wins here because the Democrats that run against him are just insane. They're worse than he is. In a lot of ways.
The machine keeps getting like normal Republicans out, like other more MAGA Republicans out as well. Yeah, I'm assuming.
Yeah, like every time like he gets primaried, like every time someone's tried to primary him, at least since I've been paying attention, like they barely lose the primary. They lose, but barely. Mm-hmm. And then he gets the last time I remember there was this woman running against him for his Senate seat, and he and like Kentuckians did not trust this bitch. They didn't vote for her at all. Like he beat her massively, but again, she was worse than he was. He was just going to be, She was very much a modern Democrat, and that shit really didn't play well in Kentucky, and she probably should have known that.
Right.
Former DNC chair Jamie Harrison, who stepped down in February, admitted the party has to find. Oh, I already read that part. My bad. But instead of brainstorming in battleground counties, Democrat donors.
No, I've been distracting you with fucking getting into the weeds and shit. So that's my bad. Sorry.
Democratic donors are reportedly huddling in luxury hotels, commissioning focus groups and digital rebrand efforts that, to some, look more like anthropology than campaigning. Democratic pollster Zach McCreary said, "Trump's declining approval ratings may create openings in 2026. Declining approval ratings, my ass." Yes, when the Trump tariffs came in, a bunch of polls came out to try to make him look like to make it look like the tariffs were super unpopular with regular voters. They weren't. And then, his approval rating, yes, took a bit of a dip when the tariffs came out, but then they came back up. Like he's back up in the high 40s again. Whatever. And a few months ago, before the tariffs came in, he was over 50% approval. So in aggregate polling, not just a single poll here or there. Aggregate polling had him at 51% approval, 52%, something like that.
Yeah, he was above water for basically the first time ever. So,
and then, but then again, tariffs came in and he took a bit of a dip because a lot of people, there was a lot of fear mongering about how the tariffs are going to cause a Black Monday and the stock market was going to crash, and then the stock market dipped a bit and then recovered. A good 2026 midterm. We should not let the mask let that mask a deeper problem, McCreary said, adding that the party's brand is repellent to so much of the country. I think the Dems are. I'm actually confident that we're not going to have like what happened with Trump's first midterm, in his first, where the. I don't think we're going to lose the House or the Senate. Like I think we're gonna hang on. I don't think we're going to gain any significant hold in either house. I think the numbers are going to stay pretty much where they are.
Okay.
He blamed a credibility gap. Quote, Democrats have lost credibility by being seen as alien on culture issues. Yeah, that's probably the most honest thing I've ever heard a Democrat say. For many of the parties...
Speaking, yeah.
For many of the party's activists in base circles, the appetite for bold messaging and confrontation remains strong. Quote, voters are hungry for people to actually stand up for them or get caught trying, said Shankar Osorio. The party is doing a lot of navel-gazing and not enough full-belly acting. Whether Democrats will rediscover their spine or waste millions more studying why they don't have one remains to be seen. Yeah, no, I think this is... I don't think they need to spend $20 million to figure this out.
No, this should have been obvious from like the thing. But then again, like I think with some with the way that some of these things are being worded, right? I do believe that a lot of them realize what the problem is.
Yeah.
It's just that unfortunately they're too captured to really be able to admit what the problem is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like they're too as I said, they're too captured. Like they're afraid of their own constituencies, essentially.
Yeah, that's true. I would say that's true. Yeah, that they if they don't do exactly what if they don't do exactly what the progressive wing of the Democrat Party does, they're afraid they're going to lose it all, and it's just like. They've kind of put themselves in that situation by spending the last decade catering exclusively to the progressives.
To the progressives, yeah. Starting from more than the last decade. Since I would wager since about 2013. Yeah. 2013 was Michael Brown, wasn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. So since about then, I would say they've been sort of fucking up since then, essentially.
Well, speaking of fuck ups. The Autopen scandal coming out of the Biden administration seems to be getting worse and worse and worse.
Is it now?
Yeah, shout out to Red State. Biden's Autopen scandal grows as Watchdog finds no evidence former POTUS knew about signed orders.
Holy shit, really?
Yep, meaning that, it seems to be that they were having the Autopen signing executive orders and he wasn't even there for them.
Bro,
it's not just, it's all like, okay, I'm not in office, but, my advisors have, read me key parts of this EO and I agree with it, so go ahead and use the Autopen. He allegedly didn't even know, like they were just drafting things and having it auto-penned without his knowledge or approval.
So basically, like the entire presidency is under doubt now, essentially.
Well, I personally think everything that was signed with an Autopen should be null and void, because if he didn't physically sign it himself...
but that's the thing. How do we know what he signed? What, apart from the ones that he signed live on camera, what did he sign that was and wasn't Autopen?
I don't know. Hopefully, an investigation can find out.
That's what I mean. Like,
find at least some of them.
This shit is all under. This is all under fucking thing now, isn't it?
A watchdog representing energy workers is raising red flags after conducting a review of significant EOs signed by Autopen under the previous administration, and finding no evidence that President Biden was aware of them. The startling revelation came as an official at the Department of Justice has reviewed potential, quote, gatekeepers controlling the White House during Biden's tenure. Insiders have revealed a covert Politburo was running the country, and the cover-up of his cognitive decline is being unfurled in public at an accelerated pace. The nonprofit organization Power the Future penned a letter to House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform Chairman James Comer, Republican from Kentucky, outlining their findings and demanding a more thorough investigation. They want to know who was wantonly signing orders while Biden was safely tucked away for nap time.
Bro.
Quote, Power of the Future remains concerned that key policies of major economic and national security significance directed by the White House during the Biden administration may have been undertaken without presidential awareness and approval, but perhaps instead by a small coterie of staff, the letter reads, according to Fox News Digital. The group analyzed multiple executive orders involving climate policy dating back to 2021, and according to Executive Director Daniel Turner, found, quote, no evidence that Biden ordered it, directed it, or was even aware it was happening at the time. I mean, there is that
What
famous
the
video
fuck?
of him signing EOs. Like, this is whenever he was in the office actually, like, signing EOs, and him not even knowing what was in them.
What the fuck was in the thing? Yeah.
He was just like, what's in this again? Like, he didn't know. He just didn't know because he was demented, but also because they weren't explaining anything to him. Quote, this Autopen scandal is evidence that these green EOs are invalid, and the investigators should be thoroughly investigated by the DOJ for violating the trust of the American people and perpetuating a great fraud on the nation, asserts Turner. President Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., questioned the validity of these executive orders and, by extension, any others that may have involved the Autopen in a post on X. So, quote, I'll just read the tweet. So how are any of these, this is from DJT, or DTJ, how are any of these executive orders from Biden even legal? Watchdog finds no evidence Biden knew of crucial climate EOs, demands answers on who signed the Autopen.
Yeah, basically, so what I said is just like, okay, how the fuck do we know that any of this shit is actually, like, a thing? Right.
The safe thing to do would be any EO that he signed that he didn't sign in front of a camera should be assumed to have been done with Autopen and completely invalidated.
Yep, I agree.
The group also notes an incident described by House Speaker Mike Johnson in which President Biden reportedly had no idea he signed a critical LNG executive order. Quote, I thought we are in serious trouble. Who is running the country? Johnson said, recalling the shocking moments like, I don't know who put the paper in front of him, but he didn't know he had signed it.
That's fucked.
Yep, whoever controlled the Autopen controlled the presidency. This is from Oversight Project on X. We gathered every document we can find with Biden's signature over the course of his presidency. All used the same Autopen signature except for the announcement that the former president was dropping out of the race. So, I'd say that you could probably take documents that we know for certain was Autopenned and use the signature, the Autopen signature, and any other EO that has an identical signature. Then that's the one. All those were auto-penned, and then you can just throw them all out. And at this point, even if Biden knew and gave his approval, like if you could demonstrate to Biden, well, no, that's different. Biden was on a foreign trip, and he knew about that bill, and he signed off to allow, like he gave permission to use the auto-pen. We should probably just invalidate those two. The next thing from recall former President Biden admitted to Speaker Johnson that he did not remember signing an executive order pausing LNG exports. So who signed it? For investigators to determine whether then President Biden actually ordered the signature of relevant legal documents. I'm not gonna, because that'll take me to X, and I'm just, yeah. The Heritage Foundation in March found that a significant majority of official documents signed during Biden's term as president used the same auto-pen signature. The former president signed preemptive pardons for family members and some of the most notorious individuals behind other scandals in the waning days of his presidency. Now, Power the Future is claiming those signatures were used to sign executive orders. Yeah, the auto-pen was used on the pardons, which could make all the pardons invalidated, which means that the Trump administration could go after Fauci and Hunter if they wanted to. Well, first we have to adjudicate whether or not the auto-pen, using the auto-pen is valid or not at all, period. And then you have to adjudicate whether or not Biden knew about the auto-pen and was actively endorsing its use. So there's some like jungle foliage you got to try to chop through with machetes. Foreshadowing. The watchdog's assertion mainly concerned Biden's lack of public comment regarding the orders. However, it's not unheard of for a president not to issue public commentary on all orders they sign. But the whole of the story encompassing Biden's head full of mush over the past several years sets off alarm bells, or at least it should, and Congress needs to get on this. Critics have speculated that someone or a group of someone's advising Biden has navigated his 4 years in the Oval Office while battling mental insufficiencies, was controlling the Autopen, which means these individuals were effectively running the country. At the top of my list would be Jill. I'm not saying Jill Biden. It was definitely a coterie, like the article said. There was definitely a group who were controlling this, but I'd say that like if you had to say anyone,
Jill is at the very top of the list, obviously.
Yeah, the leader of the group was likely Jill. Because Jill seemed to be, at least in all their public appearances, Jill really seemed to be his main handler.
Yeah, she had him on a leash. Like even the one, did you see? I only saw excerpts of it, but you know the appearance they made on The View after he lost.
I know of it. I didn't watch any clips from it.
Oh, okay, dude, watch a few clips of it, and holy shit, like that man is on a short leash.
Well, yeah, he's demented and he's dying of cancer. Like.
He's basically a fucking toddler at this point. Like, for all intents and purposes, what she was doing was, toddler shit. And keep in mind, her doctorate is in education, and it's an honorary doctorate, so.
Now, and I don't think Hunter had anything to do with a lot of this, mostly because Jill and Hunter hate each other, and I don't imagine she would allow Hunter, like,
Also, even if he did, he was too fucking coked out of his mind most of the time anyway.
Yeah. Like, I don't think that Hunter was involved in this in any meaningful way. It was likely Jill, and then, like, probably his chief of staff, and I don't think Kamala was involved either, because, again, I actually am a firm believer that Kamala and Joe never liked each other, that Kamala was kind of forced on him.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he had any love for Kamala either.
Like, he was smart enough to smile and nod, like, whenever he was in front of a camera and say good things about her, but, like, I think behind the scenes, a lot of those rumors about, like, whenever the cameras were off, he really hates Kamala Harris. I believe all of them. Joe Biden has never been particularly fond of blacks anyway, and she is, and then Kamala sucks on top of that. She's a fucking drunk and an idiot, so, like, you know. I wonder who he actually wanted as his VP pick. Because like if you go back to his early campaign in 2019, he was still slipping and making gaffes, but he was a lot more aware in 2019 than he was in like 2023 and 4. Whenever it became so obvious just how fucking gone he was mentally. But I wonder who he. So I do believe that in 2019 he probably was aware enough to go, "This is who I want," and I wonder. I don't think it was Kamala, especially after the debate thing where she called him a racist. If I had to put my my guess on it, on who he wanted as his VP pick, he probably wanted fuck me dead, goddamn Pocahontas. I'm blanking on her name right now.
Elizabeth Warren.
Warren. He probably wanted. I think he probably wanted because it would have checked the woman box. But it would have been somebody who he didn't utterly despise and who she kind of threw a few punches at him during the primary, but she never she didn't come at him the same way that that Kamala did. And I do believe he probably was going to pick a woman because he's, a fucking Democrat, and for as unprogressive as he does seem to be sometimes, he had some progressive leanings. So I do believe he was probably going to pick a woman the whole time. And then the party and his staff probably just kind of forced Kamala on him.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I think so, too.
Yeah, and if it wasn't her, then it could have been like Amy Klobuchar. It could have been any number of the other female Democrats who were running for president or who were prominent at the time, but I think probably Elizabeth Warren was high on his list. Critics have speculated that someone or a group of someone's advising. I already read that part. Yeah. Ed Martin, a pardoned attorney and head of the Department of Justice Weaponization Task Force, has been investigating the corrupt use of the Autopen, naming a trio of gatekeepers who were controlling the White House during Biden's tenure. Yeah, Jill, his chief of staff, and then number 3 would probably be... I honestly couldn't tell you who number 3 is. I don't even know the name of the White House chief of staff for Biden. Like I can't even remember the guy's name.
Yeah, I can't remember either for the life of me, to be honest with you.
President Trump has called for the treasonous thugs behind the controversy to pay for their actions. He railed against those individuals who, quote, knew Biden was cognitively impaired and took over the Autopen. The problem, according to constitutional scholar Jonathan Turley, is that the presidents have the right to use the Autopen, and courts aren't necessarily going to buy into theories about someone using it on Biden's behalf. All the more reason for Congress to start calling in witnesses and get to the bottom of this. If Biden legitimately signed them, case closed. If he didn't, a scandal beyond comprehension. Either way, the American people have the right to know. There surely must be an electronic paper trail showing who initiated these Autopen signatures and when. So, like, again, okay, say Trump is in the Middle East, right? And he knew during his Middle East trip, he's over there in Syria and Qatar and Israel and Iraq, and he's meeting with Saudi Arabia. He's meeting with all the usual guys, trying to get more Abraham Accord signatures and end wars and all that shit. And he knows that as he's going to be he's fully aware of all this, as he's going to be in the Middle East doing these diplomatic things, that there's going to be EOs that are going to come across his desk that he's been either made aware of by his advisors telling him what's in them, or that he's read them himself. And he's like, okay, when the EO comes across my desk, yeah, use the Autopen. Like, he knows what's in them. He knows they're coming. He knows when they're coming. He's fully aware, and he then gives his express permission. Yes, use the Autopen on my behalf. I'm gonna be in Qatar talking to the fucking king, or whatever the thing is. Like, I'm gonna be in Saudi Arabia talking to the king. I'm gonna be signing an investment deal. So go ahead and use the Autopen. That's fine. I am still a little like, I don't know. I don't think the president should ever. I think if the president
should ever delegate Autopen shit. Yep.
If the president doesn't physically sign a document, then it probably should be valid. But if the courts have already kind of determined, fine, Autopens are okay in the scenario I laid out, then fine, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna make too much of a stink about it. But whenever you have a potential situation like Biden, where he's literally so goddamn demented, he doesn't understand what he's signing, and while he's eating 2 scoops of ice cream and taking his third nap of the day, Jill and the chief of staff are just pushing papers through the Autopen. That's bad. That's an abuse of that ability, that presidential ability to say, okay, fine, I'm physically not going to be there, but I do think this, so go ahead and sign it on my behalf. That's a massive abuse of that authority.
Yep.
So yeah, not good. Very not good.
Very not good.
Very not good. So speaking of things that are very not good, I'm paying off that epic foreshadowing I did earlier. Now a classic British problem, machete fights in the streets, has come to Australia. So
now I have a bit of an inside scoop on this, actually.
Yeah, so let us know before I read the article. Tell us what happened.
Fortunately or unfortunately, I have inside information on this because of the fact that I know some people who knows the people who were involved in this retardation.
So what exactly happened? Was it a gang fight?
Yeah, it was a gang fight between. The funniest thing about this, right? Funniest thing about this is, it was a gang fight between Arabs and
African Muslims.
That's what I'm about to say. They were all Muslims. There is no one involved in here. That was
So was it like Sunni Shia, or was it just Arab African?
It was just Arab African.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't
literally the only difference was Muslims. That's
it. They're all. It's like, no, that's the funny thing. They're all Sunni Muslims or whatever. But And to be fair, the British machete fights is usually Hindus and Indian Hindus and Pakistani Muslims fighting each other. It's not like Muslim on Muslim violence often.
Yep, often, but
still, this is just this third world shithole violence is coming to our nice, clean, beautiful first world Anglosphere countries, and it's very Not good.
But the funniest thing for me is the fact that it's like this shit is it happened in number one a very 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 heavy Muslim dominated area.
Okay.
Like it literally happened in the one place where it's like, oh, like they're all there basically.
I mean, all this does is prove the meme true. That the reason why there's never going to be peace like in the Middle East is because take Christians and Europeans completely out of the equation, and the Muslims are just going to start killing each other.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if
there is no Arab peace, and that's why
I wonder what if the biggest killer of Muslims in the world is other Muslims. Like, I wonder. I'd like to see the number.
It really is.
I'd like to see the numbers on that.
You just need to look into what's it called? You just need to look into the numbers of Muslims killed every Ramadan. Like, it is actually sad.
Well, I mean,
because it's like the number, like it seems like terrorist activity peaks during Ramadan, and for some fucking reason, they literally all just.
I mean, this is
They all just happen during fucking they all just happen not during. They happen during Ramadan, and they happen in Muslim majority countries, like without exception.
Well, this is kind of the difference between whenever you practice a religion founded by, I don't want to call Christ a pacifist, but like, because that's not exactly the right term for it, because the Bible does make it clear when war is acceptable and all these things, and Christ himself specifically said that, like, he's not here to change the law, but to fulfill it and all that stuff. So, it's not true pacifism, but, the whole turn the other cheek thing and, doing unto others, all these things. Like, there's a difference between a religion founded by a peacemaker and a religion founded by a warlord.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's kind of like, and I think you're seeing the fruit of that kind of like play out across the span of history as Christianity conquered the world, and almost every Christian majority country on the planet, with actually I can't even think of any exceptions, are mostly first world, and even when they're third world, they're still like better than like if you have to pick a third world country to live in, are you going to pick majority Muslim or majority Christian? You know what I mean? Like, look, like if you had to pick. Here's your two options. You can either live in Malaysia, which is majority Muslim. I mean, this is going to be easy for you, or the Philippines, which is majority Catholic. Which one are you picking? I'm picking the Philippines.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that's easy for you. I probably should have picked a different majority Christian Asian country, but you get my point, though.
Yeah.
Which I can't even think of one. Like, the Philippines is the most Christian Asian country, so it's just like,
What do you mean? Do you mean Asian, like Southeast Asian, or
well,
just...
I'm Asian in general?
Because if you were to say Asian in general, like, I mean, why wouldn't you pick like Japan?
Well, because Japan is still majority Shinto, isn't it?
Yeah, but still, like.
So I was trying to compare
you being an athist.
Well, but I'm trying to compare
like
Christianity and Islam.
Yeah.
Christian countries and,
like,
and Muslim countries.
It's pretty much impossible because there's literally no other Asian country that's majority Christian. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's why I went with Philippines, because I was like, okay, well, and also because Philippines is very third world still, but still comparatively better than living in
Indonesia.
Yeah, fucking Bangladesh. Like,
for example, I wouldn't like it's pretty close between Malaysia and the Philippines. Like, it really is. So it's a bit hard to make the comparison. But between Indonesia and the Philippines, if you're just running the numbers, I would, Indonesia looks okay, but nah, I wouldn't want to live in a fucking place like Indonesia, dude.
No.
They have actual fucking blasphemy laws over there. Like, holy shit, man. No. And as far as I understand, like the blasphemy laws also like apply to every single religion. So good fucking luck.
Yeah, no, that's very not good. Well, actually, I would need to look at the Christianization numbers in Japan. I know it's still majority Shinto, but like it's interesting because it's a majority Shinto country, but then you can have like Christians like Shinzo Abe become incredibly popular as prime minister. So like, you know. So, you know.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Like, I mean, he's a weird kind of Christian. Like, he's not certainly not mainline, but
people
still.
say that Japanese Christianity that he was a member of was kind of culty. Like, he gets accused of that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, hell, the guy that killed him, that's why he killed him.
Yep.
Oh, poor Shinzo. He just wanted Japanese men to have babies.
Abe Senpai, no. Abe Senpai.
Have babies. The meme.
Have babies. Gets fucking shot. Gets blasted. Okay, now.
Anyway, shout out to Rebel News. Teen thugs involved in machete gang attack were already on bail. So yeah, this is just more details on the story. These guys were out on bail. The gangs are known, the violence predictable, yet Victoria's fix is banning knives, not addressing youth crime. 2 teenagers who police say led a violent machete attack at a Melbourne shopping center.
Teenagers.
Yep.
Teenagers.
We're not going to describe them as what they are, an Arab and a black kid. Also, they say teenager, like the implication being that they're sub 18 years old when they're probably like 19, both. I don't know. I don't know.
See, aged 15 and 16. But like, what kind? Yeah, we're already on bail. Like,
but yeah, 2 teenagers who
like what kind of culture? What kind of culture fucking makes these kinds of, quote unquote people?
A shitty one, like a very not good one.
They're not very good. They're not very good. They're not sending their best.
They're not sending their best, folks. 2 teenagers who police say led a violent machete attack in a Melbourne shopping center were already on bail at the time of the incident, raising renewed concerns over youth crime and bail laws in Victoria. The shocking Sunday brawl, allegedly involving 8 people from 2 rival ethnic gangs, unfolded in front of terrified shoppers. Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, ethnic gangs. Really makes you think, doesn't it?
It unfolded in front of terrified shoppers and children. On Monday, Victoria Police confirmed the 2 teens arrested at the scene, 15 and 16, were already on bail when they allegedly initiated the attack. The teens were charged with affray, intentionally causing injury, using and possessing a controlled weapon, and committing an indictable offense while on bail. One of the teens, who appeared in court with visible facial injuries, will remain in custody pending bail application on Friday. The other, who was filmed wielding a machete, was remanded to reappear in court the next month. A 20-year-old Thornbury man and an 18-year-old from Bundora, also allegedly involved, were released on bail. So hold on a minute. You have these kids. I mean, and 20-year-old can, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you have all
for
these
intents and purposes, they are still kids. Yes,
you have all these young men. You have them on video fighting with swords in the street, and you're still letting some of them out on bail? Fuck off.
Which, keep in mind, they were already on bail.
Well, I think the 15 and 16-year-old were already on bail. The 20 and 18-year-old here, it doesn't specify if they were already on bail.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They were already on bail. And the fact is, see, will remain in custody pending a bail application on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we even allowing that to begin with?
No, I tend to agree. Like, bail, like...
He was already on bail. He violated the bail conditions. and now we're letting him go on bail again. Fuck off.
Yeah, no. If you're on bail and you violate the terms of your bail and you get brought, you should be remanded until trial, like automatically. You shouldn't get another bail application.
Yeah, 100%. I don't give a shit that you're a minor. Like, you're fucking doing this shit in broad daylight. Like, dude.
And look, if you wanted to, I don't know if this is a problem. I'm just throwing this out there as a potential scenario. Let's say that like, oh well, we got overcrowded jails right now.
I don't give a fuck. Jail is not supposed to be comfortable.
Well, I was about to say more bunks, and if you can't fit any more bunks into the cells, then set up tents in the yard.
No, I don't care. On the floor. On the floor.
Well, in
fucking suffer.
Overcrowded American prisons will make people sleep on the floor.
Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah. They there was one, I can't remember which prison it was in New York, but one of the New York prisons just set up bunks inside of the gym, so nobody got yard time anymore because the bunks was just another cell block, or because the gym became like basically another cell block.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Prison is not supposed to be comfortable.
No, I agree. I'm not going to bother playing this video by David Limp Dick. I didn't misread that. I did that on purpose. I'm just automatically going to assume that your ministers of parliament are a bunch of limp dicks and aren't going to do shit about it.
I mean, he's one of the better ones, but yeah, like, yeah, it's not exactly like the picture that Australia paints is not exactly flattering for itself, and especially it's in Victoria. Like, you know, like I keep calling the place where I live, right? Mm-hmm. The People's Democratic Socialist Republic of Victoria, for a reason. It's just.
Is there any red states? Do you have any red states? Any?
No. The closest thing that we have is Queensland, and the only reason why that is because that's basically like the Australian equivalent of Florida in terms of weather and the kind of population that lives there. And in that, I mean businessmen and old people. But I repeat myself.
Yeah, no, that sounds like Florida. Businessmen and old people and Cubans and Jews.
Well, we don't have Cubans. Like, the Jews all live like down here.
Oh.
Like, I can tell you exactly the suburbs where they live. Like, they're, yeah.
All the Aussie Jews live in Victoria.
Basically. Yeah.
Victoria
like,
police.
They're all like collected within like 3 suburbs of East Melbourne too. Like,
huh.
Yep.
I imagine your Jewish population isn't huge.
No, it's probably like in the low 100,000.
Well, yeah.
Actually, you know what? Jewish population in Melbourne.
Well, I mean, what is it?
Actually, not even 50,000.
Yeah, so like I can't remember the exact breakdown, but between Israel and the United States, doesn't that account for like 80 to 90% of the Jewish population in the world?
There's more Jews in New York than there are in Israel proper. So
yeah, but I'm
yeah.
Well, hold on. Doesn't Israel have the largest population of Jews on Earth right now?
No,
I thought America had the second highest population of Jews.
No, I'm pretty sure. You know what? We can double check, but
America is still certain. Number one. We have more Jews.
I'm quite certain. Are there more Jews in America or Israel? Holy shit! That is actually a top search result.
I'm just
okay. They must have eclipsed it recently because apparently Israel has 7.2 million Jews and the US has 6.3 million. At one point, there's more. At one point, I was almost certain that there were more in the US. Probably like in the last century and then recently.
And I'm pretty sure that between the two countries, that accounts for like 80-something to 90-something% of the Jewish population in the world. Let
me see.
America is number 2 in the world for Jews. We got to pump those numbers up.
Well, the reason why the Jewish population in Israel is growing is because they actually have like Jews that give a shit about, being Jewish. Yeah, they have so the fertility rate of Israeli Jews is 3 children per woman. So
yeah, and I'm pretty sure that like Israel also has like a big like fertility push. You know what I mean? Like they're real big on like I don't want to use the word propaganda, but that is technically what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But they're real
which
big
makes
on
sense because they do need like for again
they need
we
bodies.
we do this so often, but yeah, for lack of a better term, they need bodies to support their military and
Yep.
their economy. Like Israel is not a big country. That's why the October 7th attack was such a devastating thing.
Yeah, no, it's the size of it's the size of a U.S. state.
It's the size of a U.S. state.
A small U.S.
has
state.
Just under 10 million people.
At one point in American history, we had the most Jews. We were the world leader in Jews.
Yeah, but all of your Jews are like New York Jews, so they kind of they're
they're
communist cucks.
Yeah, they're shitty
Yeah,
Jews.
so
they're
shitty at being Jews. Yeah, exactly. So
well, but a lot of the New York Jews are like Hasidic, and not all of them, not even most of them, but a lot of them are like Hasidic and very Orthodox, and those are the Jews that
they ain't fucking breeding from the looks of things, because like I'm pretty sure it wasn't that long ago. Like probably like within the last within 1 or 2 generations, there were more Jews in the U.S. than in Israel.
Well, I think a lot of them moved to Israel. I think it probably has a lot to do with it. A lot of them moved to Israel or have moved to Israel.
Possibly, I don't know, because like I know the trends, like especially in the aliyahs, in the migrations to Israel.
Yeah.
In the migrations out of Europe and Russia, for example, more Jews headed to the U.S. than Israel.
Well, yeah, and that also makes sense when you consider it's 1946. And you're leaving Europe, and you're going, I could go to 2 places. I could go to the United States, or I could go live with the Arabs. I think I would... Look, if I'm a Jew in 1945 Poland, and I'm leaving Poland, I'm moving to the U.S. I ain't going to Israel. Thank you for setting up... Well, not 1945, but between 48 when it was founded. But, whatever. The point is that, I'm not going to Israel. Not at the beginning. It's why would I go live with a bunch of Arabs? I've never even been to Jerusalem. I'm not going to start now. My Jew is very Trump for some reason. I don't know. But Victoria Deputy Police Commissioner David Clayton said investigators were pursuing the remaining suspects. These people and the gangs they align themselves with are well known to police, especially our investigators from Operation Alliance, Clayton said. Premier Jacinta Allen announced on Monday that from midday Wednesday, the sale of machetes would be illegal under emergency powers ahead of a complete ban starting the 1st of September. Quote, I hate these knives, and I will keep introducing as many laws as it takes to get them off our streets, out of our shops, and out of our lives, she said. Community safety comes first. So what about the dudes that live out in the bush? Are they not allowed to use machetes anymore to cut cut shit? I don't know. I imagine that the Abos probably use machetes for their intended purposes. When they're not busy being drunk.
Or huffing petrol.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Retailers have reported a surge in machete sales since the announcement. Of course it is, because there's going to be a black market for them. It's you can buy them now for the price they are now and then sell them for 3 to 5 times as much in the black market. Industry groups have backed the sales ban, but stress broader reforms are still urgently needed, while authorities have come under significant criticisms over the ban, with many seeing it as a band-aid solution that fails to address the core issue of gang violence in Victoria. Yeah, the core issue. Muslims.
It really just does come down to that. It fucking... Yeah.
Look at this machete right here with the holes in it. This is cool. This looks like the machete that Denzel Washington carried in the Book of Eli. Have you ever seen that?
Nope.
We should watch that at some point. I think you might actually like that one.
Holy crap. The list is ever growing. We're never going to get through any of them.
No, but I mean, I would actually prioritize that one because it's a very Christian movie. It's very, very. Okay. It's not even Christian coded. It's a straight up Christian film.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
It is Denzel. Everybody loves Denzel. Denzel's great. Don't me, you motherfucker. Denzel's awesome.
What?
And he's
I'm not disagreeing with you.
And he's
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm already like that's already a win. All right, like fucking like the fact that I'm not going in. Fuck that. Like at first day is this. This should, dude. You've known me long enough that this should be
fair
a sign.
enough. He no, but I also know you well enough that you like can be taken in many different ways with you.
Yeah, fair. I mean, the only movie I've seen Denzel in properly that like comes to mind is Man on Fire. And that is a fucking awesome movie.
That movie's great.
Love
I
that movie.
wish
Yeah.
you had more time.
More time.
And then he blows him up with C4 he had shoved up his ass.
Yeah.
No,
my favorite scene in that is the one in the car.
Oh yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
The Book of Eli, quick plot.
Mostly because it had fucking Santana in the background as well while he's cutting off this guy's fingers, and it's just playing Santana in the background. It's beautiful.
That is pretty dope.
Oye, como va? Mi ritmo. Anyway,
no, a quick synopsis of because this is one of the problems that I run into when I don't read the articles before the show is that article already covered the futility of banning machete, so we don't need to read this Atlantic Journal article. But like I said, quick plot synopsis: the world got blown up in a nuclear war. The entire planet is fucked. There's and there's a man named Eli who is wandering the wasteland, fighting bandits and quoting the Bible at them.
Okay.
And Gary Oldman is in it, and he's a bad guy who's trying to get a copy of the Bible so he can use it for nefarious purposes to control people. He doesn't want to spread the word of God. He wants to use it to control people, whatever. That kind of like, it kind of like, oh, the Bible can be used to control people, but then the movie also makes it clear that like there's a lot of like good that comes from it. So like it's a very, very Christian coded film. But like I said, Christian coded is not even like the right word because that implies that the Christian influences are subtle. No, it's overt. Like fucking Denzel's character Eli is literally quoting the Bible at people right before he kills them. Like it's pretty dope. I love it. I love that movie quite a bit. I saw it in theaters. That's awesome because by the time I miss like going to movie theaters. Like I don't do it anymore because it can't be fucked. But I miss it. It was good. It's a good way to watch movies. I should have gone to see Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith when it came back into theaters for the 20th anniversary, but I didn't go. I'm not even sure that any of the theaters in my area were showing it because it wasn't on all screens. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, back to America.
America.
An activist judge is once again trying to stop Trump from getting rid of illegals because, of course they are.
To return a Guatemalan deported to Mexico to the U.S. No. Why can't the Trump administration be like, he's already been deported. Well, if you want him back, you go fucking get him yourself then.
That's basically what they do, though. They basically say, you need to bring this man back, and he just goes, no.
Good. Because look at what happened in the Biden administration. Like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, that's what he did with Abrego Garcia. He got ordered to bring Abrego Garcia back to the United States, and he just literally just said, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, good.
And the judiciary. We're having this issue right now where the president's authority, like the judiciary, is attempting to challenge presidential authority whenever they don't have any constitutional power to do so. Like the judiciary can challenge presidential authority in certain aspects, but they can't.
I thought like fucking, I'm reading up on all of these orders, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought these kinds judges shouldn't be allowed to order shit the executive. Number one, just on principle, in my opinion.
No, I agree.
Unless it actually breaks the law.
Yeah, if Trump's not breaking the law, then the judiciary should have no power to tell him to do anything.
And number two, and I think this is the more important point, because I read through a bunch of these orders. What authority do they have to just rule out of thin air?
I'm not,
because I thought a judge I thought a judge needed a fucking active case being brought before them
Well,
in order for them to rule on anything.
Well, generally
Like,
speaking, that is what happens. Lawyers representing
no,
these
no, no, no,
people
no, no,
or
no,
their
no.
families bring these
No,
cases
Poppy, this
before
is the
judges.
problem. Like, a lot of these cases, there's no, like, a lot of these examples, there's no cases being brought in front of these judges. They're just fucking ruling willy-nilly.
Well, I mean, in the case of Abrego Garcia, his wife and his
Oh,
wife.
yeah. In the case of Abrego Garcia, yes, there was something. But then, my reply to that is, dude, he's already had his due process. He was ordered out of the country in fucking 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck off. Like, he's already had his due process. Like, they can go get fucked. But, like, in a lot of these cases, like this one and then the tariffs, it's like, fucking what? Who brought the case? What case? And
Yeah,
besides, like, even if the case is ongoing, like, until the case is done, like, the administration needs to do the administration thing, which is administer. Like, you can't just stop what you're doing because a fucking judge says, "Oh, I'm going to think about it." Fuck you. How about you fuck off?
I tend to agree, but and also I am of the position that illegals aren't they have no right to due process.
They're not citizens. Like, unless you're a legal resident alien or a citizen, you do not have a right to due process.
Yeah, do you think, like the Orban administration in Hungary, illegals that cross his borders don't get due process? They're rounded up and dumped back on the other side of the border.
Yeah, same in Poland, which is it's beautiful. It's actually what needs to happen.
Yep, that's it. They process them enough to get like basically a photo of them so that they know to look for them if they cross the border again and get like basic information, and then they just dump them out. Get the fuck out.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
A federal judge ordered the Trump
administration. You know what? And this is gonna sound fucking heartless, but like if I want a 3 strikes and you're out rule.
Yeah.
You try to cross the border 3 times, more than 3 times, illegally, and you just get shot on sight.
I have no objection.
I just I know it's not gonna happen, but fuck me dead, man.
Yeah, we're at a point where we need to heavily consider something extreme. At least here in the United States.
What? Let's push the border wall to the fucking Rio Grande, right? And then just drop like 20 breeding pairs of great whites or something. No, tiger sharks.
Yeah.
Into the fucking Rio Grande.
Well, I mean, like, you guys over there have like just such a massive natural advantage that you're one country spread across an entire continent with no bordering neighbors. So
and like our literally the best. We have the best defensive barrier in the world. It's called the fucking shark-infested waters of the Pacific Ocean.
Indeed.
And then and then when the Abbott government in 2013 basically said, no, send them all back. Like, if you get caught trying to to get on a boat to Australia, you get sent to Christmas Island.
Yeah, it's
which is, by the way, further from Australia than the most common starting point for most of these boats, which is somewhere in Indonesia. So
like, yeah, you guys. I mean, I know every country in the world has illegals, but like, I imagine your illegal problem is like basically minuscule. Like, I can't imagine.
It's more overstays.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's probably the most common type of illegal or visa overstays, of course.
But like the thing with the overstays here are like, dude, they crack down. Like because everything, like, okay, so I'm not gonna say that this is the advantage of a surveillance state, because that has its own problems, right?
Yeah.
However, the fact that the surveillance state allows for this shit to happen, it's a pro. Like, of course, there's trade-offs in everything. And I think the cons of a surveillance state are far worse than the pros. But one of the pros, right? So, we have our friend, Taki, right?
Yes.
And he recently had to go back to Singapore.
Uh-huh.
Yeah? And the thing is, there was talk of him, like, overstaying his visa, basically. But, like, if he did, he would essentially be cut off from every single, like, service that allows him to live in this country, basically.
Based.
Like, his bank account would be frozen. His passport would be frozen. Like, literally, the only way he could live here is doing everything in cash.
That's based, and I wish we would implement something like that.
And he can never, and like he can never have like anything get sent to him with like a written address, because then like people would just come to that house and be like, you need to get the fuck out, and then deport him, essentially.
Yeah, I wish we did things like that here in the United States. Like, I wish we had like more, like, that does sound very surveillance statey. I agree, and it has its own like level of problems. But like part of the big beautiful bill was kicking illegals off of government services that are supposed to be reserved for citizens. Getting a bunch of illegals off of Medicaid and Social Security and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
The big,
and like
beautiful
cancel their bank accounts, cancel everything. Like they're not supposed to have an address here, and if they do, they need to be looked into and get thrown out.
Indeed, put in the catapult and launch back over the wall.
Yep. Sometimes literally.
Yeah. A federal judge ordered the Trump administration late Friday to facilitate the return of a Guatemalan man it deported to Mexico in spite of his fears of being harmed there. That's always the case. Every time these dudes are going to get deported, they always go, "No, the gang violence are going to kill me." Like,
why is the gang violence going to kill you? Oh, is it because you're part of a rival gang? Maybe.
They're like, "No, they're not sending me to Mexico. I'm going to get killed by the cartels." Why would the cartels kill you? It's like, because I'm Guatemalan? No, tell us the truth. Because I'm a member of a gang from Guatemala. Thank you. Get out.
Thank you. Get out. Yep.
The man, who is gay, was protected, because of course he is, was protected from being returned to his home country under a U.S. immigration judge's order at the time, but the U.S. put him on a bus and sent him to Mexico instead. Oh, well, I can't send him to Guatemala? He can go to Mexico. They all speak Spanish. It'll be fine. A removal that U.S. District Judge Brian Murphy found likely lacked any semblance of due process. Illegals shouldn't get due process. Mexico has since returned him to Guatemala, where he is hiding, according to court documents. An earlier court proceeding... Oh, so we got to go home anyway. An earlier court proceeding that determined the man identified by the OCG risked persecution or torture if returned to Guatemala, but he also feared returning to Mexico. He presented evidence of being raped and held for ransom while seeking asylum in the U.S. By who? Was he being raped and held for ransom by MS-13, Tren de Aragua?
By possible rival Guatemalan cartels, maybe?
What do we have a situation here where we're having foreign gang violence spill out onto the streets of America?
States, yeah. Like, I mean, and why did Mexico deport him?
Yeah, why did Mexico kick him out?
Possibly because, yeah.
Well, probably because he's Guatemalan, and Mexico, the Mexicans are surprisingly, like, they don't want illegals there either.
Yeah, so why can't we fucking, like literally, this is Charlie Kirk's fucking arguments, right? So why can't we do the same shit that Mexico does to these people in our country? I say in our country as if I'm American, but it's just...
From now on, we go ahead and we give the illegals a choice. You have a choice. You can go to your home country, you can go to Mexico, or you can go to El Salvador. They'll never pick El Salvador because Bukele will just put him in the super prison.
Along with the other MS-13 gang members. Yeah, exactly.
It's just like, I got deported. It's like you're some like Guatemalan dude who fucking got deported to El Salvador, and it's just like you didn't even do anything violent. You just like overstayed your visa. You still got deported, and you ended up in El Salvador anyway. And Bukele's like, I don't care, get into super prison. You're going to super jail, get in there. Here are your Crocs.
Yeah, well, shouldn't have fucking, overstayed. Fuck you. Like, I'm at the point where I'm like, zero sympathy. Zero fucking sympathy. You've been here for that long, and you never even tried to get your papers right. Fuck you. Simple as that. Fuck you.
But no, seriously, if you're getting deported and sent to Guatemala or Mexico or El Salvador, more often than not, you're a member of a gang. That's why I assume this gay dude was probably a member of a gang, and that's the reason why he was being like, other than being illegal, that's probably the primary reason why he got deported. Like, oh, if we can't send him to Guatemala, we'll send him to Mexico.
Yeah, because the entire idea is that they're still at the stage where they're going through the criminals.
Yes.
Like they haven't,
Yeah,
if there have been, if there have been quote unquote mistaken like aspects, mistaken people who have been deported because they didn't commit like a further crime after entering the country illegally. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't give a shit. You entered the country illegally, get the fuck out.
I agree, and it goes like
as I said, zero fucking sympathy.
Because I'll even say,
get out.
There's a visa overstay person who's probably never committed a crime other than overstaying the visa. You still gotta go. You still gotta go.
As I said, like if you've been here that long and you never fucking fixed your shit.
Yeah, no
you
sympathy.
Never fixed your shit. No fucking sympathy, bro.
No
you can
pity.
go get fucked. Yep.
No one has ever suggested that OCG poses any sort of security threat, Murphy wrote. In general, this case presents no special facts or legal circumstances, only the banal horror of a man being wrongfully loaded onto a bus and sent back to a country where he was allegedly just raped and kidnapped. Yeah, well, I feel real sorry for you if that actually happened, but I don't necessarily believe that happened. And if it did happen, why were you being targeted? I mean, we just said this, but why were you being targeted by a criminal gang in Mexico in the first place? Is it because you're a member of a rival gang? Are the Mexican cartels just raping dudes? Is Lobo Sonora just out here raping people? Is that what they do? Like, far be it for me to defend any Mexican cartels. If the Mexican cartels are out here using rape as a weapon, that's all the more reason to drone strike them. I'm just saying. Are they doing that to fucking just people? Are they just snatching up random people and just like raping them? Random dudes just raping them up the butt?
Yeah, I mean, they do that. They do that. But like,
I don't think it's as common of a problem as this article would have us believe.
Yeah, so as you were saying, just to build up on that, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if he gets deported illegally, like literally not our problem.
Yeah, no, I don't give a shit.
No. Even if he gets deported wrongly, quote unquote, he was here illegally. Not our problem. Oh, yeah. There's violence and there's violence against the thing in other countries. Go back and fix your fucking countries, bro.
Yeah, no, I agree. I tend to think like it's kind of similar to the H-1B argument, which I tend to be sympathetic. Like, I actually think both sides of that argument are retarded. I think the people who are super pro H-1B, it's like, no, brain drain every country on earth. Bring everybody here. No. Immigration is fine within reason. But then there's also like the other side of it where it's just like, just admit you don't like brown people. Like, and we can like, because, there are some brown people that we can take. But like, I tend to agree though, if the H-1B recipients are these like Indian super geniuses, and why is India such a shithole?
Yep.
Why can't they make India awesome? Why do they have to come here? Like, same thing. It's like, if your country sucks so bad, then I don't know, fix it. Like, don't come and bring your fucking problems to the United States. Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said,
No, it's not. I don't mind I don't mind people coming thing, because literally that's me. Okay?
Yes.
Literally me. But like my main thing, right, is that then why if you come here, then don't act like you're still back home.
Exactly.
Right? Fucking assimilate.
Just making sure. Do we have a delay?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
Okay.
All right, anyway. Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said OCG was in the country illegally, was, quote, granted withholding of removal to Guatemala, and was instead sent to Mexico, which he said was a safe third option for him pending his asylum claim. McLaughlin called the judge a federal activist judge and said administration experts expects to be vindicated by a higher court. Murphy order so to your point, this judge just seems to have just ruled on it. No case seems to have been brought before her. Murphy's order adds to a string of findings by federal courts against recent Trump administration deportations. Those have included other deportations to third countries, and the erroneous deportation of Kilmar Abrego Garcia was not erroneous. He was set to be deported. Anyway, he had already been ordered to leave the country. An El Salvadoran man who had lived in Maryland for roughly 14 years working and raising a family illegally. Like, I don't care if he had 20 kids and he was a good father to all of them. He was here illegally. He has no right to stay.
14 years.
Multiple criminal convictions, multiple restraining orders from his wife. She recanted every time.
Multiple deportation orders.
Yes, multiple deportation orders. Yes, those 14 years wasn't just 14 years of him being a goodest boy and keeping his head down and just working. No. He was a fucking menace. Abrego Garcia can stay in El Salvador for the rest of his goddamn life as far as I'm concerned. He could stay in Bukele super prison for the rest of his life for all I'm concerned. The U.S. Supreme Court ordered the Trump administration to facilitate Abrego Garcia's return to the U.S. from a notorious Salvadoran prison, rejecting the White House's claim that it could retrieve him after mistakenly deporting him. Both the White House and El Salvadoran president have said they are powerless to return him. The Trump administration has tried to invoke the state secrets privilege, arguing that releasing details in open court or even the judge in private about returning Abrego Garcia to the United States would jeopardize national security. In his Friday ruling, Murphy nodded to the dispute over the verb facilitate in that case and others, saying that returning OCG to the U.S. is not complicated. Quote, the court notes that facilitate in this context should carry less baggage than in several other notable cases, he wrote. OCG is not held by any foreign government. Defendants have declined to make any argument that facilitating his return would be costly, burdensome, or otherwise impede the government's objectives. If the objective is to get rid of illegals, then bringing him back would impede on that objective.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty simple stuff. I guess OCG, I think, is supposed to be his
initials, probably.
Yeah, because they never refer to him by name in this article. Which, it's an AP article written by a woman, so of course she's going to do everything to paint Trump administration as villains and to assume that this man is a goodest boy who never did nothing wrong, bad ever in his life. So yeah, speaking of getting rid of, stuff that we don't like, including illegals. Actually, here, let me do this one first, since this flows better. Doge security official officially removes 12.3 million individuals listed over age 120. So these are the white pills to end. Here's the good news for the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is one of the this was one of Elon's recent hobby horses was how many dead people they found on the rolls for Social Security, people who are 120 years old still drawing checks. And they have officially been removed. So, that's 12.3 million Social Security checks that are no longer going to be sent out and cashed. Now, I would like to see, the people who were committing the Social Security's fraud, prosecuted and sent to prison. But, what can I say? Social Security has removed from its rolls 12.3 million individuals listed as 120 years or older, according to the U.S. Department of Government Efficiency. The discrepancies in the Social Security figures and the alarming ages of some of the individuals listed have garnered national attention over the last several months. As a result, in March, Doge began to update the American people on the massive cleanup begun by Social Security. In a March 18th update, Doge said Social Security had marked 3.2 million Social Security number holders aged 120 or older as deceased, warning that there was still more work to be done. Here's an X post from the official Doge X account. For the past 2 weeks, Social Security has begun a major cleanup of the records. Approximately 3.2 million number holders, all listed age 120 plus, have been marked as deceased. More will still come. More work is still to be done. Watch, there's going to be some old ass dude out there who comes forward. He claims to be, I'm 120 years old and they took away my Social Security. I was born in 1905.
Bruh.
How did you manage to live this long? Good, clean living.
Like, I don't get it.
This is good. You know, this is what Doge was created to do. Over 1 month later, on April 24th, Doge provided another update, revealing that a stunning 11 million individuals listed as age 120 plus were now marked as deceased. Now, to be fair, I'm sure that not all 11 million of these people were probably getting the checks cashed, but the checks were still being sent out. So, for the past 7 weeks, Social Security has been executing a major cleanup of the records. Approximately 11 million number holders, all listed age 120 plus, have now been marked deceased. Another 1.4 million to go with expected completion in 2 weeks. And in the most recent update delivered last week, Doge revealed that a total of 12.3 million individuals listed as 120 plus years old were now officially marked as deceased in the system. Some complex cases remain, such as individuals with 2 different birth dates on file. These will be investigated in a follow-up effort, Doge added. This update coincides with other red flags issued by Doge figurehead Elon Musk, as he made waves in March when he claimed that 2.1 million non-citizens received Social Security numbers in 2024. I covered that before. That there are illegals who are getting Social Security benefits. Well, getting Social Security numbers, which entitles them to government benefits. They're not getting Social Security checks necessarily. Elon Musk, and this is from Josh Chaplin on X. Elon Musk and Antonio Gracias show a chart of new non-citizen Social Security numbers issued. This literally blew us away. We went there to find fraud, and we found this by accident. I covered that specifically. Antonio Gracias was the guy. He's a Doge official who discovered how many illegals, millions of illegals, were being issued Social Security numbers so that they could use government facilities, government benefits, and all these things that they have no right to because they're not citizens. Regarding how that is possible, a co-worker of Musk's looking at Social Security, Anthony Gracias, CEO of Valor Equity Partners, said that the previous administration had a policy that allowed migrants to enter the country and then register for Social Security, Breitbart News reported. Doge savings as of the time of this writing, total $170 billion across the board, according to the Doge website. And I covered in my video yesterday that the House is currently preparing to vote on making about $10 billion of that $170 billion permanent. So they're not doing it all at once in one big shot. They're going to try to make permanence these Doge cuts in waves, I guess. But as I said yesterday, I have hope, but I'm not super optimistic. The GOP, the House GOP, has failed us before when it comes to spending cuts. So,
well, it's not just the House GOP; it's also just the GOP in general.
Yeah, the party of fiscal conservatism is not fiscally conservative very often. So, But yeah, and then one final good news: Trump's big, beautiful bill is a major step in dismantling the regulatory state with the REINS Act. The regulatory state hamstrings everything from a shout out to Just the News, by the way. The regulatory state hamstrings everything from cosmetology to bridge placement. Reeling it in with the REINS Act may unleash billions in prosperity and remove the regulatory yokes for American manufacturers, business owners, and consumers. So essentially, part of the big beautiful bill is the regulation reduction, cutting red tape in these things, which this article goes into deeper than even the thing we read last week, which was from the White House, which just kind of gave a broad overview of what the BBB was meant to accomplish. This is like what pisses me off about a lot of the libertarians like in Congress and the Senate is like them whining about like, but it's going to increase the deficit. Yeah, because we're not going to be bringing in as much tax revenue because we're cutting taxes. I thought you people were for that. Like, paying down the debt is important, but you have to cut taxes on people first. Like it's just funny that like it's like they're like libertarians, the Thomas Masseys of the world want to pass themselves like, okay, fine, like we should not be taxing American people at the rates we're taxing them at. Okay, fine. Here's a bill that's going to massively lower taxes for everyone. No, it's not good enough. Like, sweeping legislation is something that you're also against, right, Thomas Massey? So it's like, okay, and also you can't get rid of debt with a bill. And again, a lot of the stuff that it's like, oh, this is going to add to the deficit, only because it's not going to draw in as much tax revenue. Well, not only, but still, that's like a big part of it. You can't win with libertarians. That's one of the reasons why I got sick of them, is nothing is ever good enough. Like, all they want to do is complain. They did the meme. I don't want solutions. I want to complain.
Libertarians.
Yeah, I'm really not a big fan of Thomas Massey. As far as like, normally I like libertarian politicians, but like I'm not a fan of his. He seems like a bit of a cunt. He seems like
it's hidden,
bit of a cunt.
It's hidden under principle, but then it's like, so what's the principle actually? What you're fighting for? Like, are you just grandstanding for thing? Because what are you actually doing? Like we had this discussion before, right? Yeah. Where it's like, what are you actually doing? Effectively, what are you doing?
Yeah, apparently Rand Paul is also not a fan of the big beautiful bill, and he's going to fight against it when it comes to the Senate, which would bro, for someone who claims to be a Trump ally, all you seem to ever do this term is bitch about everything Trump does. And MAGA is not going to forget Rand Paul. MAGA liked Rand Paul, but MAGA will turn on you very quickly. They're real good at that. When you don't do what MAGA wants, MAGA turns on you. And he also has to remember that the majority of his constituents here in Kentucky are MAGA. So think about that, Rand Paul. Vote your conscience, be principled, but at the same time, learn to compromise. One of the things that your dad refused to do was compromise, and he was ultimately very ineffective throughout his massively long career. He was effective at getting libertarian ideas into the mainstream and making them more popular. I'd say he did push the American right wing into a more beneficially libertarian position in a good way, but he also never really got any legislation passed. He famously, most of the votes he voted on was voting no on things, which is, good because a lot of bills are bad. But again,
But the question still stands. Yeah. Effectively, what did you actually fucking accomplish?
Yeah, he accomplished basically nothing. Yep. A lot of his victories were cultural, not legislative. So, when the White House, Jesus.
But can you really call them cultural when?
Well, yeah, because he definitely, Ron Paul's influence, especially when you get to today, definitely the Tea Party movement and everything that he definitely made the Republican Party slightly more libertarian leaning, which is not a bad thing. Too much libertarianism is not great because that's when you get to open borders and what even is the age of consent, bro? That's when you get to that stupid we should just legalize meth. Yeah. Too much libertarianism isn't great, but he did push the Republicans into being a bit more libertarian, which is not a bad thing.
Right. I don't know. My main thing is that my main thing with that is that it seems a bit hollow, I guess, because okay, so for what it's worth, for however far he pushed the Republicans into being more libertarian, right? Mm-hmm. By equal measure, it seems to have lost the actual libertarians. if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, even Ron Paul didn't like the LP. You know, so like actual libertarians, like, you know. Well, I mean, he probably didn't hate the LP, but he wasn't a member.
Yeah, I know, but like but you know what I mean, though. Like considering what the LP is now, like
Yeah, it's basically a progressive shit show.
Yep.
It's the party
it's
the
sad.
party of Chase Oliver's and Joe Jorgensen's now.
Mm-hmm. It's just sad. It's sad.
No, it is. It is. Anyway, when the House of Representatives last week passed Trump's big, beautiful bill, there was a poison pill for the regulatory state buried within. The long lingering reins, regulation from the executive in need of scrutiny act. That proponents have been trying to send to the Oval Office for signatures for 16 years. The implications of such a bureaucratic dressing down would reverberate through all the U.S. industry and consumerism. Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Lee Zeldin told Just the News, No Noise TV show, that his hope is that it gets over the finish line, and once it does, a cascade of other burden-easing improvements can take place. See, this is what I say that, like, this is good libertarianism. Tax cuts and deregulation. That's good. That's good libertarianism.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I
don't disagree. The problem is that as I said, my problem is the fact that we got to that point, and now, like, you know, the libertarians are pushing the retard fringes of their movement, essentially. So,
sorry, I'm chewing on a chip.
Yeah, like, no, that's all right. And yeah, like, I did like the best summation of this entire shit show that I've seen is that, like, they seem to be pushing the idea that, you know, like, they're disguising their true intentions under the whole America First, quote unquote, banner. But, like, in reality, it's just, I don't know what they're actually even fighting for, because this is not putting America first.
Well, and my question, like, that is a thing. It's like whenever you have these libertarians who talk about, like, caring about America first, like, we should care about America and Americans first. Okay, then you ask them, like, what their prescriptions would be for how to make America great again. And it's like, well, first of all, a lot of libertarians are open borders.
Yep.
A lot of libertarians think that meth should be legal. Like, and these are not caricatures. I'm not, like, these aren't memes. This is a very, very, very common libertarian
actual
point.
Actual, like,
I mean, I love that we have to bring him up at least once a show now. But Dave Smith, in a debate once said that, like, the only reason why he wants borders right now is because of the welfare state. He says if there was no welfare state in the United States, we wouldn't need borders. It wouldn't be America. That is
such a fucking 14-year-old fucking take, man. Seriously.
And it would, yes, the man is literally a child. He is a child in a 40-year-old Jewish man's body. Like, but no, he fought like, okay.
That is a like 14-year-old ass take, bro.
If you have no borders, you do not have a country.
Yeah, you're not a nation.
If you are
a nation is defined by, number one, its people, and number two, like the area by which it exercises sovereignty.
Yeah, and
that's what the country is.
And, like, here's like, and like, what do you think? Like, well, it's like, well, bro, if there's no welfare state and we all have guns, then nobody will want to come here and fuck with us. That's not true. How retarded? Like, it's so retarded. You honestly think if we had no borders and people could just come here willy-nilly, that they wouldn't try to change it once they got here? And what? Like, listen, we all already have guns, and it's still not stopping them. We have borders, and we have guns, and they still come.
And then they're gonna go, oh, but, you know, this is why democracy shouldn't be a thing. Like, oh, this is why we shouldn't rely on democracy. It's like, okay, so what?
Okay, so you don't want a state. You don't want a state. You don't want hard borders. So then what do you want? Anarchy. And even at my most libertarian, I was anti-anarchy.
Like, that would literally guarantee.
I genuinely believe that ANCAPs are retarded people. They are retarded. They are. Well, they're a lot like Dave Smith. They're fucking children. Like, if you unironically believe you are an anarcho-capitalist, I genuinely think you are as retarded as a Marxist communist. You are the same level of retard to me.
Yeah, it's all a fantasy at the end of the day.
Yes.
It's all a fantasy. Like, these things are just as fantastical as the other.
It's but Hoppe was based. Yeah, sure, he was based, but he was never going to get a country built.
Yeah, because literally his entire project is that country shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah,
but by definition, like, if you don't have borders, you don't have a country.
Yep.
That's it.
That's why I'm not that's one of the reasons why I gravitated towards objectivism as opposed to libertarianism, because objectivism actually does have, like, if you were to, like, has no moral qualms with borders or laws or prisons or anything like that. Like, so then whenever you have retards like Michael Malice, who generally I like, to be honest with you. As far as anarchists go, he's one of the good ones. But, like, Michael Malice is at least intellectually honest enough to admit that Rand would have fucking hated him. He straight up says that, even though he's a big fan of Rand and he likes objectivism. He straight up admits, he's like, "Oh no, if Rand were alive today and she knew about me, she would hate me." You know, and that's fair, because she was not an anarchist. She hated anarchy. She thought anarcho-capitalism was a fantasy for children, and it was stupid, and...
Because it is.
Yeah, she did not believe that anarchy was in any way... That's one of the reasons why she was also, like, a lot of people, it's like there are open borders people who try to make, like, an objectivist case for no borders. I'm all like, the founder of the philosophy was literally pro-border. Like, not just kind of like, well, if you read into it like this. No, she said it explicitly. She was pro-border. Like, borders are good. We need borders. We need to keep out the riffraff.
Yep.
Anyway. Quote, as you look forward to the legislative agenda, there will be other opportunities to get permanent reform done. NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act, reform to make it easier to invest in America at less cost, taking less time and having more certainty, he said. It was originally introduced in 2009, but then Rep. Jeff Davis, Republican of Kentucky, shout out, with the goal of increasing congressional oversight of federal agency rulemaking. The current version of the bill stipulates that agency rules with an annual economic impact of $100 million or more, significant cost or price increases for consumers or industries, or substantial adverse effects on competition, employment, investment, productivity, innovation, or U.S. competitiveness would require explicit approval from both House and Senate via a joint resolution, then to be signed by the president before taking effect. Basically making it super difficult to ever get any kind of regulation passed. And regulation is a business killer. It has been always. The REINS Act seeks to amend the existing Congressional Review Act, which currently allows lawmakers to void certain agency regulations after implementation. The REINS Act would reverse that process, requiring preemptive approval by Congress for major rules. If enacted, it would provide Congress with more direct control over major regulations, with significant economic impacts by granting legislators the preemptive authority to halt the enactment of certain regulations, rather than relying on resolutions of disapproval after a rule takes effect. A wide range of industries likely would see a tectonic shift, including energy, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, financial services, manufacturing and construction, transportation, agriculture, and food safety. The big one there, in my opinion, and that's the reason why it comes first, is energy. Because if you can get energy costs down, everything becomes cheaper. That's like the first thing. Like, make gas cheaper, make gas cheaper, make electricity cheaper, and then everything else kind of falls into place. Phil Kerpen, who serves as president of American...
Well, it doesn't fall into place just like that, but it definitely helps.
That's what I mean. It's like everything else kind of can more easily kind of take place after that, because it's like, okay, we have nuclear power plants, and this is like pie in the sky scenario. We have nuclear power plants, and cheaper gas than we've had in 50 years. So now
Beautiful.
gas is like $1.20 a gallon now, you know, and people's electric bills have been cut in half. Great. Now, like, that just brings the overall cost of living instantly goes down in commensurate fashion with that cost decrease of energy. Cost of living goes down, more money in American pockets. That means more money to spend, more money going into the economy. That means more businesses can then be started, more jobs can be created. I mean, it's a trickle-on effect. I hate that I use kind of trickle-down economics, but like that wasn't like what I meant necessarily, like that Reaganism. But it's the kind of it's like a circle. It just
I don't even think that's a. Is that actually a Reaganism, or is that just something that fucking lefties use to
trickle-down economics? Maybe, I don't know. I associate it with Reagan, so I thought that was one of his things. You know.
No, that's fair. That's fair. But I'm just because like I've like obviously like that was the thing before. Well, no, you were born during like the last Reagan years, but
yeah, I was born in '87, so yeah.
But yeah, like it's not something that we would be fucking remembering.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Down this wall.
I knew Jesus.
Yeah. Well,
like, he wasn't a great president, but he was funny, at least. Like, he had a good sense of humor about himself.
Well, he was a great president by the traditional like wisdom, until we, actually got to the point where we're like, maybe not so much.
Yeah, well, anyway, Phil Kerpen, who serves as president of American Commitment, referred to it as unfinished business from the Tea Party era and told Just the News that this could be the most significant aspect of the bill because it would be a massive positive change and stop this pendulum from swinging wildly back and forth with the party in the White House. We have a lot more policy stability. Yeah, the idea being that if you get the REINS Act into settled law, then it becomes, even if Democrats get into power again, it becomes much harder for them to pass any kind of regulations.
Yeah, to actually fuck with things. So.
In addition to concrete steps towards regulatory overhaul and passing Trump's big, beautiful bill, if Republicans remain committed to the issue upon which they were elected, they could quite possibly remain in the majority, thus granting Trump 2 more years to govern without obstructionist Democratic Party constraints.
Well, we found that it's not even necessary for the Democrats to even really, be in thing to be obstructionist. Like, look at what the activist judges are doing. But then again, right? Like, the point is that with less obstacles.
Well, the great thing about a lot of the judges, a lot of the problems with where we're seeing the executive versus the judiciary right now is the executive is in a position where they're able to just ignore the judiciary full stop. He can't quite do that with the legislative. He kind of has to do what they say to a degree. Whereas with depending upon the case, of course, most cases, if a judge orders the president to do something, the president can tell him to fuck off. Like, no, I'm doing it anyway.
Well, it's not. It doesn't. It also helps that Biden did it. A lot. So,
after Trump's second victorious presidential campaign, almost all the How Trump Won postmortems reckon that economic affairs were the top list for most voters. Even before the general election, policy analysts pointed to the economy as a leading indicator of what was driving American voters' preferences. The Pew Research Center noted after their polling, 8 in 10 registered voters, 81%, say the economy will be very important to their vote in the 2024 presidential election. And everybody remembers the economy in Trump's first term and how good it was.
I keep harping on about this, but like, I've never seen gas prices that low in my entire adult life up until that point.
I worked for a friend's small business during the beginning of the Trump term in 2017, and he was very anti-Trump. And then by the end of the first term, he was all like, "Okay, yeah, it was good. He did a good thing." Like when Trump's first tax cuts came along, he was all like, "It's only going to be for the rich." And then where he's a small business owner, he's like, "Okay, yeah, I did get some tax cuts. Fine, you were right. You were right." It was just like, yeah, I know. Hell, I wasn't an owner of the business. I was just part of it, and then I had another full-time job, and I noticed I was getting taxed less. So, like, I could literally see it in my paychecks. Pew Research also found that voters have more confidence in Trump than Harris on economic, immigration, and foreign policies. Half or more voters say they are at least somewhat confident in Trump to make good decisions in these areas, while smaller shares, 45% each, say this about Harris. Yeah.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, those people are fucking captured.
Yep.
In CBS Review, the network acknowledged that one of the most important factors in this year's election is the economy, specifically inflation, and cited one of their analysts saying that throughout the pre-election polling, voters marked it as the top issue, and that Trump had always had an advantage with people who said the economy was their top concern. And the rest of this article is just about polling, so I'm just not even going to bother. Because they just want to talk about how popular economic shit is. But no, the REINS Act being a part of the big, beautiful bill is a good thing. Hopefully it can get past the Senate. And if the big, beautiful bill gets past the Senate, then steps in the right direction, which is what we like to see. Which is what I was saying yesterday about them doing $10 billion, trying to make their the House getting ready to vote on $10 billion in Doge earmarked spending cuts. And getting those set in stone, because it's like this baby steps. Giant leaps are good. I would love a giant leap. Like Ron Paul, actually, when he was running for president in 2012, put forward his economic plan, and it was it scared the shit out of a lot of people because it was massive cuts to American spending. Massive. We're talking huge cuts. And even Ron Paul himself admitted that, like, if I get elected and I put this into play, it's going to hurt financially for the first few years that it's in place. But when the recovery comes, it'll come fast and it'll come big. And, you know, I tend to think that if he had got that, because it's not like he was going to completely get us down to anarcho-capitalism, because that wasn't his goal. But, you know,
that wasn't the point. No,
it was massive cuts to you know, welfare, to the military, to just everything. And and then deregulation and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, and I tend to think that, you know, deregulation and tax cuts and spending cuts, probably all good things. So yeah, but no, great leaps forward. As much as I'd like to see one, they're never going to happen. They never happen in party politics. They always have to just do intermediate steps. They always have to do baby steps.
Yep.
So here we are. You know, baby steps, but baby steps in the right direction. So baby
steps are good. Yeah, like at least it's progress.
I will take.
And I'm kind of sad. I'm kind of sad that it's it's gotten up to this point. Where it's like, you know, the fact that it's gotten it took up to this point for us to actually get here. But you know what? I'll fucking take it, man.
Yep, the country had to be trillions of dollars in debt and on the verge of getting involved in a war on 2 different continents for us to finally go, wait a minute.
This is not good. Yeah.
Maybe we should rein this in a little bit. But yeah, no, that was another week.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, no, hopefully there's you know, more spending cuts. Hopefully there's less machete fights. Hopefully some of, you know,
I'm not too sure about that one, to be honest with you.
Hopefully, you know, some of Biden's executive orders get overturned because they were done by Autopen while he was zonked out in the corner. Like, yeah, no, hopefully things just continue to get better. Like, you know, I'm not worried about Trump's approval rating. I'm not worried about tariffs. And as I've said before on numerous occasions, I'm not even really worried about the debt that much.
Yeah,
like, nobody's ever going to come to collect on it. And until we stop printing money willy-nilly, it's only ever going to go up. So, you know,
like I don't know, like, and you know, if anyone actually tries to collect on it, like literally how are they going to do that?
Yeah, but what mechanism are you going to force America to pay its debt? Like, you know, you can't. You physically can't. Like, what are you going to do about it? Huh? Like, fuck off.
Yeah, quite literally. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's definitely a complicated issue, but Yeah, literally how. So
paying it down
we
would
shall
be a
see,
good
I guess.
thing. We should pay off our debts, but it's not super high on my priority list. Like actual domestic concerns, which they would say that the debt is a domestic concern, but I'm talking about like tax cuts, deregulation, cleaning up the streets, getting the wall built, securing the northern border, deporting illegals, things of this nature are much more important to me than how are we going to pay down the national debt and get the deficit under control. Like, yeah, we can do all that after we get, after we start deporting a few million illegals and we clean up the voter rolls and we get illegals off of Social Security and Medicaid and, like all these things. I have so many other things that come before I ever even think about deficit. I just don't even care.
Yep.
Penn Jillette once said something that I pretty well, and this was before he cucked and went like pretty much full Democrat. This is back when he was still like a very principled libertarian.
Oh wait, he did. Well,
Well,
I'm kind of glad I didn't know anything about it, but
he voted for Hillary. So.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah. But he was doing this YouTube video and he was talking to this guy and they asked him, is like, well, you're a libertarian, well, who's going to pay for the roads? And he just kind of laughs it off. He's like, listen. He goes, okay, this is what we need to do. He's like, we need to get the budget under control. We need to stop all this massive discretionary spending. We need to, really clamp down on the welfare state. We need to get military spending under control. We need to stop, killing. He's anti-death penalty. He's one of those people. But he's like, we need to stop just, killing people in our prison system. And like, once we get all of these other things under control, then we can worry about who pays for the roads. And I'm just like, you know what, Penn Jillette, I agree. Even to this day, I pretty much agree. With the sentiment of that statement, which is, you need to have priorities. Certain things need to be more important. Certain goals need to be targeted first before you target other things. Now, there's a world of difference between the national debt and who pays for the roads, but like I said, the sentiment is essentially the same. You need to get your priorities in order.
Yeah, I mean, like realistically at this point, like what? Yeah, no one, literally no one cares about that shit at this point. Literally no one.
And that's the other thing is like every country is in debt. Like every country on earth is in debt. Mm-hmm. Like it's like, well, the Chinese are buying up all of America's debt. Yeah, and the Chinese are deeply in debt too. So,
and the worst part is most of their debt is like technically to themselves.
Yeah. So, but yeah, my point
so
is,
they're like their entire economy is a fucking. It's not like it's an insult to call it a house of cards. Like.
Yeah, no, but but my point is that everyone's in debt. Who's eventually going to collect on all this debt? If you collected all the debt in the world, there would be no money, basically.
There'd be no economies.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, debt-based economy isn't great, but like, whatever. Like, I don't know. That's kind of neither here nor there. Anyway, no, let's
it's going to go into the weeds, kind of.
Yeah, let's wrap this thing up.
Okay.
So, do the algorithm shit for us. Smash the like. Well, there's nobody watching currently. Everybody left. There's only one viewer, and I think that counts for like me watching this stream on my browser to keep an eye on the chat. Whatever. If you're watching, but no, if you're watching this after the fact, if you're watching the video on demand, then algorithm stuff. Smash the like button, sub, comment, all that shit. Come to the actual live streams and get in the chat. And in the meantime, don't get into any machete fights.
Or, into an intercontinental war or something. I don't know.
Yeah, just don't be retarded.
Yeah. I know it's hard, but you gotta try. You gotta try.